Welcome to The World Has Gone Insane. Let's talk about it. No big intros this week because it's the same shit as every week. So joining me are Zam Jose, and we have another new face to this show. Anyway, we have Harry Harris. Hello, sir. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad you could join us. Okay, boys. I don't have many things to talk about this week, but that's me. Obviously, it's an open forum, so if anyone has anything they would like to talk about, we tend to start with politics, news, or life. Then we go into film and TV, and then finally gaming. But we don't necessarily have to stick with that order, or necessarily stick to one branch of topics. We can go all over the place if we want to. So, who wants to take the floor to start us off with?
I'm going to go ahead and say right now, rest in peace to Darren Drozdoff. Passed away
Yeah.
today at the age of 54 due to natural causes. For those that don't know, he was the third member of LOD in 1998, and he was a former nose tackle for the Denver Broncos. And yeah, his most famous moment came from Beyond the Mat, where he was like, Vince was like, he's going to puke. And that's where people know him from. But nonetheless, we'll miss him.
Very talented wrestler as well, and just a damn shame.
Hmm.
What happened? Obviously,
Natural causes.
natural
Yeah.
causes. He lasted as long as he did,
Yeah.
considering.
And for those that don't know, his story is a sad one because of the uh, incident with D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown accidentally botched a power bomb spot, and Darren became paralyzed from the neck down, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the powerbomb itself; it didn't look so bad. It looked bog standard.
Hmm.
But obviously, it doesn't take much.
doesn't take much, and if there's already
Yeah.
problems there as well that may have gone undiagnosed, that's all it takes.
And he was crippled from the neck downwards.
Neck downward, yeah.
And when I heard that he had passed away, I was like, there was a sense of relief from me
Hmm.
because it's not living, being crippled from the neck downward, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
there's no
can't speak
quality
for.
of life.
Yeah, I can't speak for the person who happened to. I don't know how he feels about it personally, but in a way, I'm almost happy for him that he's not having to live like that anymore. I think there's
Hmm.
more there's more freedom in death than living like that in life.
Well, this is it. I mean, you lose the use of your legs, you can get by fine, but from the neck
Yeah,
down,
It
yeah,
sucks.
it sucks. It's difficult. Fair play to the man. I think he just got on with it. Became a writer as well. Like,
Yeah, he
hmm
basically got the for life treatment from Vince. I think you can be here as long as you want to be, kind of thing, because it
yeah,
happened on his watch. And D'Lo, I know my heart goes out to him too, because he felt so fucking bad about it, and I don't think he ever got over it. And Draws is
no, he
like,
never
dude, don't
did.
blame yourself. Yeah.
He was never the same after that,
Hmm.
which is a shame
yeah,
because he was one of my favorite wrestlers in that era
Yeah.
yeah.
as well. So it's a shame, but R.I.P. Draws, another
Yeah.
one, another wrestler gone in their fucking 50s. Damn
Hmm.
shame. Vance. Hello, Vance. Carl
Well,
Urban is Johnny Cage in the next installment of Mortal Kombat series. Bit
Okay.
old, isn't he?
I
Wow.
don't hate that.
really, no,
That sounds good to
I
me.
think I no, I'm not sure about that. To
I'm
tell you
not
the
sure
truth,
about that. One, two,
Yeah.
no.
two. I don't know.
He,
Okay, wait a minute. Carl Urban. Let me look that up.
Carl
Give me.
Urban, I don't think of Carl Urban, and I think to myself, martial artist.
Yeah.
Give it. Who you need to give it to? Give it to Scott Atkins.
Okay,
You
him
know
as
what I
Johnny
mean?
Cage.
Yeah,
If
Scott
he
Atkins
was,
can't do an American accent though.
if he was,
No.
they needed to go. They needed to go younger with Johnny Cage.
They should have just gone young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
God.
wouldn't.
mm, young,
I always
unknown.
felt the Miz was ideal. If he was a bit younger,
Yeah.
he'd be perfect
If
for it.
they did it 10 years ago, the Miz would be my first choice,
Yeah,
no doubt
Miz
about
would
it.
have been great.
Hmm.
But Carl Urban is, he's a good actor. He can do some of the physicality and stuff like that. But he's not Johnny Cage. As much as I love
Yeah,
Carl Urban,
and if
he's
if
not
John
fucking
Hennigan
Johnny
was a
Cage.
slightly better actor, he could have played a great Johnny Cage as well.
Yeah.
Johnny Morrison from WWE, but he's not a good actor, so he wouldn't have pulled
I
that off.
have no.
But Miz would have been great.
I still have no problem with Scott Atkins. He doesn't have to be American. You can make Johnny Cage British.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, you can fucking make Johnny Cage bloody whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So but
But again,
nevertheless,
Scott Atkins is like No.
I want a martial artist actor. I want a guy who can
Yeah,
do
it has to be
martial
a
arts.
martial artist actor.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the whole point. That's who Johnny Cage is. He's a martial artist actor. So
Mhm.
you want a martial artist actor playing a fucking martial artist actor. I mean, it's simple as that, you know. And
Yeah.
there was a time there was a birth for them because it's going on to Scott Atkins. He's got a YouTube channel where he interviews all these martial art actors. But a lot of them are like in their 40s and 50s and 60s now who used to do stuff back in the day. You know what I mean? There's I'm not sure if there's this new crop of martial art actors nowadays. It's hard to tell. You know,
There's not many. There's not many, and most of them can't act even half as good as the other guys could, and they weren't that great to begin with.
yeah. I'll tell you who'd make a good Kano. It would be Jason Statham.
Mm.
I think he would make a great, but he's a martial art actor.
Yeah,
And,
he'd make an all right Kano, but the two Kanos that they've had play so far have been perfect. Like they've both on 2 occasions they got the character right. The first actor that played him in the 90s film was like an Australian actor. He looked the fucking part. He did.
Yeah.
He looked amazing. And this guy that they got in was the best part of the Mortal Kombat film. He was the main reason to watch this film.
Yeah.
So he'll be back. So
You wish we'll make another Dread movie. Yeah, likewise, dude. I thought that
Yeah.
Dread movie was fantastic.
Do you know what pisses me
Yeah.
off? We get all these stupid fucking remakes and all these stupid films that just don't mean anything. And yeah, here we are with these streaming platforms. Like they give hundreds of millions to bloody Zack Snyder, who makes boring crap, and they don't just think, oh, you know what? We'll buy the license for Judge Dredd. We'll make it. And we'll put it on the streaming services. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes their brain just doesn't make sense to me how they work.
It's short-sighted, dude. They don't think the long term.
that Judge Dredd film was so good.
Yeah,
it was
so
damn
good. Yeah,
good.
I loved it. He never took his helmet off once. You know what I mean? He never took his helmet off once.
Exactly.
You know that's Carl Urban under there. You don't need to see his face. It's what you want is that, and what we got was that, and that was good enough. So yeah.
And they had what's that Scottish actress's name? She was in Game of Thrones.
Lena Headley or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, Lena Headley.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, she's my number one pick
Scottish?
to play Calypso in X-Men if they ever did her, the Morlocks. Because even in that film, she looked like Calypso from the X-Men. I was just like, fuck, that would have been a great casting choice if they ever went down that route. But yeah, they should remake that film. Some dickhead has to pick up the license. But, we also have our new Superman and Lois have been cast.
Oh God, here we go.
Good choices. I didn't know anything about the actress that got cast to play Lois, so I went and had a look at her stuff. Brilliant. The Superman actor I knew, very well from the stuff that he's been in, like The Politician and a miniseries called Hollywood, which was excellent. And that when I saw that guy, I was just like, he could easily be the next Superman. And so when he got cast, I was just like, fucking called it. But his co-star in that show would make an excellent Cyclops. He plays Rock Hudson in that show.
There he is, David Corenswet.
That's him.
Oh,
yeah. Just a young Henry Cavill, basically.
Yeah.
There he is.
He looks
Look at him.
He looks it. Yeah, he could make it work. Maybe.
Perfect choice.
Yeah, he looks it.
Yeah, if you type in, just type the Hollywood miniseries Netflix, Zam, and just look at the cast, and we could show the guy I said who would make a great Cyclops.
I'm really worried about my fucking search coming up with some nasty shit. Miniseries Netflix.
Yeah, go to all, so it gets the cast. Just click on all, and is it? No.
Darren Criss?
Press the arrow. No. Press the arrow. Again.
Dylan McDermott?
No, don't be stupid.
Okay, viewing all.
Yeah, keep going till you see. Press show more. That guy there. Jake Pickin.
Jake
Top
Pickin.
right. Top right.
Rob Reiner.
What about him?
Images.
He looks a bit like-
He was
he
my
looks like-
pick
he
to
looks-
play Cyclops.
Dude, he looks
Oh.
like Chris Pratt.
He
Yeah,
does.
he's like,
too.
he does, but
Yeah.
he's more chiseled, and he'd make an amazing Cyclops. Really good actor. He's got that kind of.
Look at that fucking chin, dude.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he
Jesus
would.
right.
Christ.
He
That's
would
why
be
he'd be a
psych.
great Cyclops.
Yep, he would be psych.
You know, Cyclops has got a big fucking chin, unlike the bloody chinless wonder they put in Scott Marsden to play him or whoever fucking.
And
played
they
him.
still haven't figured out who Wolverine is going to be, right? Because I know Hugh Jackman's coming back for Deadpool 3, but beyond that, I don't think they've said.
Yeah,
anything.
I don't really care. Like, I think the rumor is Charlie Huffman, not Charlie Huffman. Fuck, what's his name? The guy who played Elton John in the film recently.
Okay.
Oh god, his name escapes me now as well. Yeah, he was in. He played Eggsy in the fucking.
Yeah, Eggsy in the yeah him,
Hmm.
because he's a short actor and he's a good actor as well. He's very versatile. So yeah, he looks like Chris O'Donnell and Chris Pratt. Yeah, but that was my pick for him. But yeah, Superman is a good choice. It just depends on what James Gunn does.
Well, I
You know.
I was looking on my socials, and on Facebook somebody posted up David Corenswet's picture. Goes, well, this is our new Superman, and people going, I don't know who that is. Who's this? Who is this guy? And stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, do you not understand how Superman works when it comes to casting? It is historically been an unknown actor. Every Superman, from Christopher Reeve onwards, even George Reeves to a degree, have all been unknown actors, and that's how
They've always been unknown.
Yeah.
Always.
been unknown. And if
Nobody
Superman
knew
is something-
Brandon Routh, and Henry Cavill
Yeah.
was barely making a name for himself at the time.
Yeah.
You know, he'd been in
And
some fucking
King.
Greek mythological thing and
Yeah,
one or
yeah.
two other
With-
things before that. Like the
No
Count
one
of
knew who
Monte
Gene
Cristo.
Kane was, and the guy
Yeah.
from.
So why are they
CW.
surprised? They're surprised
Yeah, but-
every time, and it's
yeah.
so stupid.
Unlike Batman, however, who've all been recognized actors because Michael Keaton, everyone knew who he was. Everyone
Yep.
knew who Val Kilmer was. Everyone knew who George Clooney was. Everyone knew who Christian Bale was. Everyone knew who Ben Affleck was.
And
So
Robert
it was-
Pattinson as well.
And Robert Pattinson now, yeah, exactly. So Batman has always been a recognized actor.
Yeah.
Superman has always been an unknown. And I
More,
want
more
them to
women
keep-
and more women would have known who Robert Pattinson was than the men probably as well because of obviously the Twilight.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but
So he's done a lot of indie movies in Robert Pattinson to like make him look like a proper actor and not a heartthrob. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, if you watch oh god, he did some film with
The Lighthouse with
where the Lighthouse and
William
then,
Dafoe.
yeah, but he done like some stuff with the Safdie brothers as well. He was great in that. That's why I saw him first, and I was just like, man, this guy he could do a really good menacing actor. So yeah,
Speaking of DC, Aquaman 2 said that. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah,
yeah.
They
So as
just
soon as
wanna
that
look at
film
it-
is done,
they just
soon
want to
as-
get it out of the fucking way.
yeah, they're gonna
Yep.
get it out of the way. They're gonna get Blue Beetle out of the way. Those films are gonna flop, and then they're gonna hit the reset button completely.
Are we
if they were
thinking-
smart, they would do a double bill, a Blue Beetle Aquaman double bill.
Yeah, you would
And that
think.
would pro-
Just throw
Yeah,
them together
but
and get
one's
it the
coming
fuck
out in
over with.
July, and the other one's coming out in October.
Oh, fair enough. I don't
So
know, just to
the-
get it out of the way. Yeah.
Are we thinking over or under? Will it perform less than Flash? I think it'll probably be a little bit better than Flash, but that's not saying much.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I still think it's going to flop, but
I think it'll do a bit better than Flash, just because Jason Momoa and people like Jason Momoa.
yeah,
Yeah, good point.
I could see it making
Yeah.
at least maybe 180, maybe 200 million, but even then, I don't see it really taking off
No,
just because
But-
they want to get it done.
at least with that being over, Jason Momoa's just going to slip straight into Lobo, which is a better suited role for him.
He was
Mhm.
born to play Lobo.
Yeah,
dude.
he
was
was,
born to play fucking Lobo. That him and Lobo, like, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was meant to be. So
Yeah, that's who he should
yeah,
have played in the
make
first
it
place.
happen.
But hopefully with Gunn, DC will have their shit together and not be all over the place. Because like Hamada was a fucking disaster for that studio. He was worse than the previous dickheads, who I can't even remember who it was. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, you know, Julian
So
Sands, great actor from Warlock. He was confirmed dead. He went missing a while ago.
Oh yeah, in
On a hiking
January.
I
Huh?
bumped into
Yeah.
him. I bumped into him at Heathrow Airport a year or two ago. He always comes across as a guy who's like 6 foot something. He looks like a tall man, but he's not. He's about my height, which I was really shocked.
Well, you're not that
You're
short.
not
What are you, 5'11", 5'10"?
No, I'm 5'7", 5'8", something like that.
You're not 5'7", 5. I'm 5'7",
Yeah.
5'8". You got a whole head on top of me.
Honestly, I'm not that tall, man. I'm not 5'11". I would fucking love to be 5'11", dude.
Well, yeah,
You know what I mean?
I was 5'8", but I since my legs went a bit doolally, I've
Well,
shrunk to 5'7".
Look, when I saw you
Shrunk.
yesterday, I might have come across a bit taller because of the shoes I wear. You know what I mean? That Ron DeSantis tried to make me look a bit taller type. You know what I mean? We're gonna, I want to look like a man.
Oh, really? So that's
Yeah, I
quite
mean-
surprising that he's a lot shorter. Yeah, because he always comes across like
Yeah.
a big 6 foot beast.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a lot shorter than I anticipated. And I saw him. I think I'm sharing an elevator right now, lift, with fucking Julian Sands. Should I say something to him before? I said nothing. I just the lift just came along, but that was pretty
He
cool.
was a great
And also,
actor, man. He was like
boxing Helena.
ridiculously handsome. He should have been way bigger than what he was. Like, I remember
Could
him
have
from
been
the
James
Warlock.
Bond. Man, he
He
could
could have
been
easily
James
been a
Bond.
James Bond. Easily. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks like a slimmer Timothy Dalton. If you put them side to side,
Yeah.
the facial
Maybe-
features are not that far off.
Maybe because he was too short that he never played James Bond.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't comment on whether it's his height or not, but just
Yeah.
he never became as big as he should have been, and it's a shame. Like, he was huge in the 80s, and then he just
Warlock was awesome, man.
it's a great film.
What's what's his face in it as well? Oh God, the name of the actor from
Oh, let me have a look. Who was the cast? I've watched the film since the 90s now. So.
the British actor who's in it.
Oh yeah, Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. That film was, and all the sort of things that make a warlock, like the milk goes sour, the flame goes blue, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, awesome. I remember the girl as well.
Yeah,
She
Loki
would
was
rapidly age. Yeah, he was Loki. Yeah, he would rapidly that girl rapidly age until she got a bracelet back, and stuff like that. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great film.
Classic.
Rest in peace. I loved him in Arachnophobia. Yeah,
That was a
awesome.
great film. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was a great film.
and I suffer from arachnophobia. I see a spider, I turn into a little bitch.
Oh,
You
is
know
it?
what I mean? Yeah, man. I'm a fucking when it comes to spiders, man. I'm standing on my chair, pulling my skirt up. Going, somebody save me! Somebody save me, man. You know what I mean?
Oh, you won't
Yeah,
want to be in
so-
my room. I've got one in each corner. I keep them there to
Okay.
catch the mosquitoes and all the flies for me. So we work in symbiosis.
Yeah.
And then come September, I'll be full of garden spiders. The ones with the bubble back
Yeah.
and all of that. I was
Yeah.
like, why can't you fuck a sprout in the summer where you can catch more bugs, you useless pricks? Said you just get in the way of everything. But yeah. Well, that was
Was
a
he
great
the-
film there.
He wasn't
Jeff
the only
Daniels.
death we had.
What's that?
He wasn't the only death we had.
No, Alan Arkin died as well.
God, yeah, they
Is he
say
dead?
they really do say death comes in
Yeah.
threes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He died.
I loved
yesterday.
I loved him. I loved Alan Arkin. He was fantastic.
Great actor.
Great actor. I saw him in this film with Michael Caine and
Guy in Style, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, yeah.
Mhm.
And they were
Yeah.
robbing a bank and stuff like that, and they're all fucking
Yeah.
pensioners trying to rob a bank, and that was brilliant. And I think he was one of the only ones who was getting laid, and
Mhm.
and like that was such a great film. I loved it. Great actor. Yeah,
Wasn't he the
89.
first Pink Panther? Or the first Inspector Clouseau in the first Pink Panther movie? And then they
Really?
replaced him?
Yes, he was. Yes, before it was
Yes.
before Peter Sellers.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no
I think-
idea he was
yeah.
before
I
Peter
did not
Sellers.
like him in that film.
No, he didn't
After
suit him.
that,
That's
I
why they
liked him.
recast him.
I don't understand what happened.
Yeah.
He could have really gone over the top with that, and he just didn't quite do what Peter Sellers did with the same part.
Yeah.
I think that Peter Sellers had better physical comedy aspects to him.
I think so.
Maybe.
You know,
No,
yeah,
I think
like-
hang on. If I'm yeah, no, he was before Peter Sellers. I'm pretty
Yeah, he
sure
was
he
the
was
first
before
Pink
Peter
Panther.
Sellers.
Yeah.
He was the first Pink Panther.
because Peter Sellers, he wasn't just like he did the French accent. The physicality he brought to that role. He was like a Mr. Bean before Mr. Bean was even a Mr. Bean.
Is
Yeah,
that
I
you,
mean,
Peter? I see you lurking in the spot.
Yeah.
No, Peter Sellers did it first in 1963,
And then he replaced
and
him.
then he did it off. Then Alan Arkin took over in 1968, and
And
then they
flopped.
went back to
Peter Sellers again.
Peter Sellers again.
I stand corrected. Thank you for that.
That's all right. I mean, me too. I always get confused because there's such a big gap in the Pink Panther films because the first one was in 63, then it was 68, and then we didn't get anything again until the mid 70s.
But
So it was such a the history of the Pink Panther films is just so fucking crazy.
like certain actors, they take on a role, and even though you should be okay with other actors reprising that role, sometimes they just don't do it justice. Like
No.
for instance, for me, Peter Ustinov will always be Hercule Poirot. Yeah. Nobody
really?
else. And
No, I
Albert
prefer
Finney.
David Suchet.
Albert Finney took the
Personally.
role. Albert Finney took the role, and for Murder on the Orient Express, and he looked like bloody Manuel from fucking Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He-
they're
he-
bungling.
no.
You know what I mean?
No,
Bungling
Peter
and all
Ustinov
that.
was
Yeah.
great, but for the series, David Suchet was just.
I've had
phenomenal.
David Suchet in my
Yes.
cab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
and he's lighter. His skin is a lot fairer than he is in Poirot and in that movie Executive Decision. And I spoke to him about that movie, Executive, where he played an Islamic terrorist.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, he told me how he became good friends with Halle Berry in that film.
Wow. Cool.
Kurt Russell's in that movie. Steven Seagal, John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
You know,
he killed
it
Seagal
had-
off because he was a pain in the ass to deal with. So
yeah.
just like,
That was the beginning, I think, of like Seagal's downfall.
that was the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, hurry up and die.
Yeah. Hurry up and die.
Hurry up and die.
Exactly.
I'll never
Never
forget
could-
the fucking Steve Martin Pink Panthers as well. They were god awful.
Oh God, yeah. Don't remind me.
absolutely.
Steve Boyle,
insult.
him and Sergeant Bilko, man, like the guy shouldn't.
Yeah. I like the
No, but-
Sergeant Bilko film, but that was not Sergeant Bilko. That was just Steve Martin playing a fucking sergeant who happens to be
Steve
called
Martin
Bilko.
doesn't need to copy other people's stuff. Steve Martin's good when he's being original and making his own mark on things. And so,
Yeah.
like, you know, I love like The Jerk and The Man with Two Brains and
Ah.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Train to
Unfortunately,
Dead Men
Busan.
Wear
mate,
Plaid.
unfortunately, yeah, 90s Hollywood just became like this soulless churning out of absolute shite when it came to the comedies. For the one or two good ones we've got a bunch of studio-based crap like your fucking
Cheaper by the
your
dozen.
Bilkos, your
Yeah,
Eddie
Cheaper by the dozen
Murphy
was
shit,
bullshit.
all that. Yeah,
Apparently, Adam Driver apparently is asking for too much money to be in Fantastic Four. Well, you can't blame him considering it's Disney and he knows about Disney, but he's worked with Disney before in 3 other movies for Star Wars.
I'm glad he's asking for a lot of money. I either give
Yeah.
it to him or don't cast him because I don't want him as Reed Richards. It's not a good casting choice.
Know your
I
fucking
agree.
worth. Yeah.
I do not like it. So I hope he just says, "Give me Robert Downey Jr. money plus another 10 million on top, and then maybe I'll consider it."
And here's my thoughts. Why not just stay with fucking Krasinski as Reed Richards? Like, what the hell happened to that? Because I thought he was decent.
That's my
Yes.
question.
Yeah, for what we saw.
Yeah.
For what we saw
he's
of
a
him.
fan favorite, so you
Yeah.
just stick with
I'm
the
like,
fan favorite thing. I don't.
why
really
not
care
go-
about him.
Yeah, why not go with Jim from The Office? That dude, he's got versatile range. He could make it work.
Yeah,
Yeah, and people want him and his wife, Emily Blunt to to play Sue Storm and all of that. I mean, they want it to happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't see why not.
Have they figured
I
the
would be
fuck
the big
out yet? Have they figured out like the release date? Have they confirmed Fantastic Four? Because like I've heard all types. Of
So it just gets bounced around. So they just announce a year, then they'll change it. And then
Oh, okay,
They-
yeah. So,
they'll change
oh.
it. You know, they
Then what they
released
need
the
to do-
slate recently, and then that slate's about as reliable as me in a fucking ice cream parlor. You know what I mean? So
Well, Margot Robbie is Sue Storm. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, maybe now she's in her 30s, maybe she could do a good Sue Storm. Who knows?
She could make it work, and she'd look good in spandex, brothers. Tell you
Yeah.
that right damn now.
well, Disney is the one company that's able to desexify women in fucking spandex for some reason. It manages to pull that off remarkably. Fucking useless, prudish wankers.
Ha ha.
Yeah. Ha ha.
I would like
No
to see.
sexualization of women, but men can be sexualized as much as they like. Ha, ha.
I would love to
Fucking
see.
hypocrites.
I would love to see a wrestler play Ben Grimm, the Thing.
Mm.
You know, I want him to be this big menacing,
And no, not the
like mass.
and no,
you
not
know,
the Rock. And no, not the Rock.
Not
Damn
the
it.
Rock.
Well,
no,
look-
Let
not
the Rock go. Yeah.
Not the Rock, but somebody who can look. WWE and AEW.
You mean in the
have
costume,
plenty of
right?
yeah,
under the
there's plenty
costume.
of wrestlers that can. there's plenty
It's
of
going to be
wrestlers
fully
who can act.
CGI, mate. It's not going to be like Michael Chiklis was in the 2006
Oh no!
films.
Don't say that.
It's going to be, of course, it's going to be fully CGI. Why wouldn't Disney do him fully
Because
CGI?
You want to be able to touch him and the camaraderie. Look, he's not like the Hulk where you have to keep a little distance from the guy. Like he's still Ben Grimm under all of that, and he'll want to interact and hug and touch and
It's
chill
not.
with
It's
his
not going to
mates.
happen. It's not going to. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you, it's just not going to happen. It's just not. So for that one, you're just casting a voice, basically.
Yeah.
All right,
and
fine.
then get
Yeah.
literally
Okay.
anybody.
I know what you mean. Like you want it more
Yeah.
practical.
Yep.
Because Michael Chiklis looked fucking fantastic. I don't care. Like the film sucked, but him and Chris Evans were the highlight of those films. Like
Yep.
their chemistry was amazing, and he was a great Ben Grimm. And I like that they did the physical costume. Obviously, back then, it would have been too expensive to do in fully digital. And so I prefer it because the Ben Grimm is not like, he's not like an 8 foot tall fucking rock character. He's like barely 6 foot, 6'1", even as the Thing.
Yeah.
He's not massive. So yeah, they should do, but they're not.
Let's see. Currently,
Or
checking the-
if argument's sake, if they did go with practical, who would be a good person to play that role underneath all that makeup?
God, I don't know.
that one you'd have to come back to because there's other movies I'm thinking about. Like I'm thinking about the Blade movie, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to be surprised if they scrap that shit.
That film's never coming out.
Yeah, I'm
That
thinking.
film's never.
Mate,
Like the one time you get a prominent black superhero, okay, and you can't fucking get it right. Just you know what? Give the film to Ryan Coogler, who did the Black Panther films.
He'll know what to do with it.
Just
Yeah,
give it to him. He'll fucking like the fight scene between Black Panther and Namor was phenomenal. Like I've ranked that in as one of my favorite fights. Not the fight between the Wakandans and the Talakanans, whatever they're fucking called. That was stupid. But that little fight there, that was so well done. So yeah, just give it to him.
The film's gonna be PG-13. Basically, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's PG-13 Blade movie. Are you fucking mad? You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
It's gonna be awful. And all these people who complain about how film can't, you shouldn't complain about the film could still be good at PG-13. No, not Blade.
no,
I
Blade
agree.
needs to be rated R. Yeah,
I agree. 100%.
That's
like
like-
I want.
that's like
I
if they
want-
tried to
I
tone
want
down
my
Deadpool.
gore.
Yeah,
I want
Exactly.
my gore. I want my nudity. I want my sexual references. I want my swear words. I want my violence. You know what I mean? I want lots of aggression, and I don't want shit watered down for the sake of fucking Disney wanting to get some kids to watch the fucking movie.
Yeah,
Isn't it, my darling?
liberal Hollywood just cracks me up, man, because they've gone. they've so aligned themselves with the right now in terms of like sexualization of characters and all this kind of shit. It's just like they've gone too prudish. It's just like, what are you doing? We fought for decades to fucking allow artists to have their work how they want to, and now you're sitting there fucking reverting back to what the conservatives wanted. It's just like, stop it. Just grow up. You know, don't push on your fucking uncomfortable fifis onto us. It's
No,
like with
it's
that.
no PG-13
I-
isn't what we old folks think it is. Yeah, you're damn right. It's not.
It's basically they just want more bums on seats. They want more ticket sales. That's really why it's that. It's more than anything. You know, it's just to sell the fucking movie. But you can have very successful movies that are R-rated. For me, the fact that something can be for adults only is very appealing to me. That's why I'm a bit concerned about Kraven the Hunter because that trailer looked generic as fuck. But at least it's an R-rated film, so I think some of the action scenes will be pretty decent. I'm hoping.
Yeah,
You know
for what they lack in basically everything, they'll make up for it in violence, which makes it more tolerable. At least you can have a laugh at that, because that
Yeah.
that Craven film is just not Craven. That's just some fucking bloke with lion blood that goes around. You know, I mean, you might as well turn him into a fucking vegan. Jesus Christ. Failures of huge movies prove that you have to fill seats in dwindling markets, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Look, the numbers will always speak when it comes to PG-13. It'll always do. But the rating systems are just stupid anyway. Like, you don't need a rating system.
This is a vicious circle, you know, as well, though, Daniel Vance, regarding this, because you don't want this to be the norm when it comes to, you know, to certain films. You want things to succeed regardless of it being PG-13 or 18, especially when something should be 18 in the first place. Shredder's got something to say. He's talking about me. Shredder loves me. Yeah, but other only version of movies and parodies. Yeah, mate, I know that.
I want them back on the big screen. Like a good old
my god! Look at the gun is on my hand. He's on my arm.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
What do you want?
Never go on your arm.
This guy's scared of me, man.
Oh, he heard porn. He heard porn, so he was just like, "Yo, hey."
No, but he's so he's willing to brave up just because he's so desperate to shag Blue, and Blue's circling around me right now. The birds are all over. I've got the birds all over me.
Hey,
So okay.
Whatever happened to touch-tone films? Why are we not doing so-called adult style films? You know, adult age films under Touchstone instead of Disney.
By Disney. Yeah,
exactly. It was originally created. Touchstone was created to make films like The Black Hole, which was a pain to sit through. But the whole idea was that it was a thought-provoking adult style, you know, cinema film, science fiction, where you had to plod through one scene to the other to finally get to the final destiny, and it's all at an adult level. Kids were falling asleep. Half the adults were falling asleep. But the point is that Disney was afraid to use. I mean, Disney probably released that film. It says Disney's The Black Hole, but everybody complained that it was not a child's film, and it should have been rated R at the time. I don't know why, but all these different.
Definitely not R.
Yeah,
it's not. But it's not worthy. It's not even worthy of a 15 rating, let alone R.
It's not watchable. But the whole point was they had films that they were releasing under the Disney name that most adults objected to because they were not family friendly, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So why aren't we doing the Blade and the other kind of things that Disney owns, even Star Wars at some level, under a Touchstone film banner?
But you wouldn't need to do like Touchstone for those. You just have, what you would have is you would just call the R-rated Marvel films, you just put it under the Marvel Knights banner, which is just like in the comics. In the comics, you have Marvel Knights, which is like the more R-rated the more awesome stuff. And just release it under that banner. With LucasArts, you just fuck it. You know, if it's rated R, it's rated R kind of thing. You don't really need a different banner with that, or you can call it the Star Wars Black Series, just like the toys, and
I like
do with
that.
that. Yeah. Touchstone. I mean, Touchstone. Like this is why I hate the Disney Plus streaming service, because I was expecting so much more from of Touchstone films to be on there, because they were like one of my favorite production companies in the 80s. A lot of good comedies, a lot of great like shows, and there's barely anything of theirs on the platform, and it's frustrating as hell. It's just like I don't want to watch just fucking Simpsons, you know. Give me the old classic 80s, but there's barely anything on there. And Fox's old films as well. There's nothing on there. It's just like, you type fucking cunts, you know what I mean? You just don't want to pay the residuals or pay whatever to have those on your platform, and we just end up with garbage.
Yeah, that makes sense too, Shred.
Pirates of the Caribbean is what happened to Touchstone.
First one is still
That could
fantastic,
be.
by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like
So
the
you
first
haven't
couple.
seen-
It was like the first couple of movies worked, and then after that, it was like, all right, now we kind of get
Oh,
it.
Just the first one for me. I thought the
Yeah.
Curse of the Black Pole was superb. I need to revisit that movie, to tell you the truth. I forgot how good it was.
Yeah,
But
they
the
proved
sequels-
Disney could do PG-13, so it became defunct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But also they
Yeah.
bought Miramax as well at the time, so they just, you know.
yeah, like here's my thing. Where the fuck is Dogma? That's a movie we're never going to see on Disney, or probably for any streaming service for that matter. Kevin Smith,
God,
Dogma.
Yeah.
Release
Yeah.
that on there, the
The-
amount
the-
of,
because
Joke.
Disney, I guess they worked together, Kevin Smith and Disney, and they got into some kind of dispute. So it's like, yeah, you're never going to see Dogma, even though that's one of the
Okay.
Kevin Smith movies.
Craven ain't gonna make any money though, and it's not because it's R-rated; it's because it's shit.
The marketing, that's
Yeah.
what it is going to come
people
down
are
to.
savvy; they know from the trailers now what to expect.
Yeah,
You know,
Craven
prime
will do.
example.
Craven will
sorry.
do better. Craven will do better in the Spider-Man 2 video game than he will in the movie.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and you know what? I'm starting to. I mean, regardless of Tom Holland being owned by
Spider-Man.
Sony, the crossover with the MCU will be very minimal, because there are actors now who are both in the Sony MCU and the MCU, like Russell. God damn, what's his name? Gladiator Russell.
Crow.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, who obviously plays Zeus in the MCU, is playing Craven's dad in this. Aaron Taylor Johnson was Quicksilver. Now he's in this. You know what I mean? It's going to be a bit weird having them cross over.
They're not going to cross over though. They're not. No matter what
Yeah,
Sony
yeah.
wants, they're not. They might get one. Like they might get like Michael Keaton in and all
But
this kind of shit.
they must have some cards by having Spider-Man, which is fundamental to the MCU in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
they still have
Yeah.
got three more films to come.
For Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, yeah, with Disney, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Fuck.
they've done that deal. Yeah, they've done that deal.
Did the deal. The Spider-Man 4 was being worked on until the writer strike, and they
Yeah, they're doing that with everything. Because let me see, I'm looking at the MCU right now, and all I see is writer strike, writer strike, writer strike.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, fuck. That means shit's going to end up getting pushed, which pisses me off because I think
a lot of
we-
other stuff from Touchstone
No,
is
sorry,
distributed on other
wait.
networks who will license it. Yeah. There's more stuff
What's
from
it- what's it-
Touchstone on like Amazon than there is on like in Disney.
What's this El Morito? Someone explain that to me.
Oh, they're actually moving forward with El Muerto.
Oh, they
Without
are, huh?
Bad Bunny.
El Muerto,
Okay.
say, my bad.
Probably
Michael,
recasting
yeah.
his role then, because I guess he was probably thinking
Was
either
he a
I'm not
Mexican
I
getting
don't know
another
why
one
they're
or whatever.
bothering. I don't know why they're bothering.
Spider-Man, the bus rider.
Spider-Man: The Bus Ride Home would be an entertaining movie.
Yeah, they don't need to do it. Spider-Man 4 does not need to have a home in the title now.
No.
We've done that trilogy.
And
Just,
let's
call it Spider-Man.
get to Venom, please, because we know it's going to happen. Because we know how
Really?
it all fucking ended.
I don't know.
They're gonna bring Venom into the MCU, obviously somehow.
Well, they
some way.
brought him in, and then they kind of got rid of him. You know, like
But they're gonna-
Tom
they're gonna-
Hardy.
they're gonna
Yeah, but there was a
fucking-
little bit left
Yep.
behind. There was
Yeah,
a
Yeah.
little,
leave a little
left
bit
behind.
good.
So that means,
Yeah.
they're going to probably have Flash Thompson be Venom, which I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they make Flash Thompson the new Venom.
What the Flash Thompson they have in the
Not that
MCU?
fucking
the-
Flash Thompson. That
Yeah.
would just be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
Sony doing something that stupid, though.
Well, so Sony are going to do the Alabama version, which is Spider-Man homeschooled. So,
Well, look, they could still have an Eddie
Yeah.
Brock in that universe who's not Tom Hardy, so
Yeah.
they could pull that off, in some capacity.
Yeah, because last I heard, the little fucker's still in high school. It's like, dude, it's been like 5-6 years
he's
since
not
you've
in
been
high
fucking.
school.
No, Tom Holland being Spider-Man. I'm like, dude, okay, you're still in high school. Didn't
He's
you
not, though.
graduate high
Yeah.
school yet?
They have. He graduated at the end of No Way Home. They were looking at colleges.
Okay, good. Thank fuck, because now we can move on to.
Yeah, that
Other
was
type of shit.
the whole big premise about No Way Home.
Personally,
fuck.
Like, Tom Holland will be close to 30 by the time the fucking next Spider-Man comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Have him make none of this school shit anymore, please.
Yeah, can we
It's
move
There is
on
no
to
more
like?
school shit.
Can we
Fucking hell,
move on
he's
college?
done with
No.
school.
Can we move on to
No,
like Jay
no,
Jonah? Can we move on to
I'd
like
rather
Jay
he come
Jonah?
back after college? Yeah.
Yeah.
After
Can we-
college,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
banging Mary Jane, so we don't need all that.
Yeah, can we
awkward
move on
crap.
to? Can we move on to like Peter gets like 3 kids and a mortgage? Like that would be fucking entertaining. Like Peter Parker has to deal with being Spider-Man, having little Jimmy, Timmy, and Tom to raise, and then he's got to fucking pay a mortgage. It's like that
Yeah,
would be more
Spider-Man
entertaining to watch.
home mortgage.
Yeah.
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 Oh god.
Exactly.
And they have to make it more realistic, where they'll be like, yeah, I'm a scientist, but I'm living in like New Jersey because I can't fucking afford anything. in
Yeah,
Manhattan."
for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's swinging around and shit, and he's like, man, I
But
can't
it's
do.
far from home too, you know what I
Yep.
mean? But just like living in New Jersey.
Yep. He's got a bald spot and he's gained like 30, 40 pounds. And he's like, man, this fucking swinging shit is taking a toll on me.
Cans and
Had to
Dye
invent
continues
something
MJ
stickier.
after the movie, which has been screwed by 2 tennis players. Yeah, because she done a bunch of shit in Euphoria as well. So, she'll be fine. But I don't want that. I don't know what they're gonna do with Spider-Man 4 because like Ned and MJ were great. It was a great trio of characters, and having new people now, I don't know. We'll wait and see how that
Yeah,
goes.
have they said anything about like Zendaya and them coming back? Or are they kind of thinking about recasting or none of that shit?
No recast. There won't be any recasting. There will just be like
They want Zendaya to come back because she's a successful actress, unlike Tom Holland.
Yeah, Zendaya will come back.
yeah. So
So-
we'll see how we go with that one. That's probably a couple of years away. I know they were getting started on it, but obviously now they've had to pause. I've seen
with
no
this-
resolve on the writers' strike. These fucking
Nope.
bourgeoisie cunts are just happy to let it draw out. It's like, okay, it's going to cost you a lot of money in the end. It's not, you know.
Yep. And what's going to happen is the Marvel fan base, even though I hate to say it, it's kind of shrinking. I mean, it's still kind of going, but it's not as successful as it was when we got to Endgame. And now it's kind of like you're going to make people wait even further for shit to come out because we got the Marvels, and then I think we got Deadpool, which I don't even know if Deadpool's wrapped yet. Or
Yeah,
if
it's
they've
wrapped.
even start. Oh, okay. So we've got that.
No,
We've
no.
got that.
They've started filming, sorry, but apparently they can't improvise any lines. They have to go with what's already written.
Okay,
Exactly.
so they're probably having to do stuff in post maybe at this point with Deadpool if it's already wrapped.
Yeah.
And
Tom
then we've
Holland's
got
Crowded Room that finished its first season and was wonderfully intriguing. Oh, that show was a series. I had no idea. I thought it was a movie. Fair enough.
okay, so they finished filming Captain America, so at least the good news is we're set until Captain America. Where they fucked up is the Thunderbolts and Beyond. So
Mate, I'll be
that's
honest
what's
with
gonna
you,
be curious.
I don't care. Like I don't care. I want the writers to get what they deserved, and
Right.
if we get nothing, we're not missing out on anything. There's nothing special. Like I'm definitely getting the superhero fatigue. That's for sure.
Yeah, because you've been there, done it. I mean, honestly, I kind of wish we would have got to take a couple-year break after Endgame. Like, okay, give us a couple years without Marvel. Make me miss it, and then I'm going to want to go see these movies.
Yeah, that was never going to happen, sadly.
Yeah, too much money involved in it.
Ginger, it's not superhero fatigue. It's just that they're shit. You know what I mean? It's not superhero
No, I'm
fatigue.
just
it's
speaking
the
for
pro-
myself. I'm speaking for
Yeah.
myself. Like I've got fatigue. Like, you know,
I could see where you're
just-
coming from.
I'm just not. I just don't care unless it's like unless we go to X-Men. I'm just not going out of my way to go and see films in the cinema. Like to spend all that fucking money.
Yeah,
doing that.
because Guardians 3 was actually that was pretty awesome. Guardians is probably the one series I could say where each movie was better than the last that they made, and it's kind of sad to see them come to an end. But at the same time, I could see why Dave Bautista's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out, I'm done. I want to move on and do other shit.
I think David Bautista is getting a bit up his own arse a little bit because he's like, I'm a serious actor. But mate, you've done a really good job with Drax. You know, I know he's a bit of a buffooning character, but you should be proud of yourself as an actor that you've done so well with that particular character, and you've had a decent career in Hollywood already, and people will see you more than just Drax. So get your head out of your ass a little bit. But
and calm
regarding
down
Guardians
on the
of Galaxy-
plastic surgery because it's starting to look fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry.
He's already got
Yeah.
that old man look going for him. I don't know if y'all
His
saw that
lips
recent
look
picture.
So fucking stupid. It's just like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and just only criticize like the women. Like, stop. Just plastic surgery, 9 times out of 10 looks fucking bad. Just grow old gracefully. Okay, there's nothing wrong with growing old gracefully. I don't understand. You always make yourself look worse, and then we get chastised for showing concern about it. It's just like, just please stop. Look at Madonna. Like, we love Madonna. Like, she's a legend, but her face.
Yeah, she looks like she's been stung by 1,000 bees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that poor woman, she ended up in the ICU with a bad bacterial infection. She's come out the worst of it, but she was hospitalized the other day. It's like, for fuck's sake, love.
Yeah, Madonna.
Alien
it's like-
Romulus. When was this? Like, look.
Oh, yeah.
this-
Yeah, they're making a new Alien film. It's just going to be the same shit. Marines, aliens. Fuck, I don't care. Jesus Christ. It's
Yeah,
like
like,
Predator. It's like, just, you know what? Don't have humans in it. How about that?
Yeah.
Watchmen was a great film. I think it was a DC thing. It was
Yeah, it was.
alright.
It was all right.
I don't
DC,
think
the
it's
one-
a great film.
The one problem.
I like the Watchmen film. I just found that it should have been in two parts.
Yeah.
And had a bit more action. It needed a bit more action in it.
Yeah,
I think-
I know the
definitely
comic
did.
book doesn't have a lot of action in it,
Yeah.
but
Think-
they could have tweaked it a bit.
Thing about DC is they need to figure out their fucking pacing and they need to get their shit in order. It's like, okay, you've had all these films, and it's like, what's your end game? Where the fuck are you going? And it's like, we don't know yet. That's why we got James Gunn in to come and try to do the Marvel plan of like, oh, we're going to try to build a 10-year arc. I'm like, dude, I'm a ginger, but I'm feeling that way about DC. I'm like, I think we're too fucking fatigued. I could take a break from DC and miss these next couple films, which most
Well,
likely I will.
I just want to quickly comment here. Come on.
I haven't even bothered
Yeah.
watching Shazam. I didn't even bother
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
But Elysion, come on, you can't be asking us to watch fucking Joker. You know why? We've all fucking seen Joker, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw
They're
that in
called
the cinema.
NerdTube.
Yeah.
They're called
Yeah.
NerdTube, dude. You know what I mean? it's not a superhero film. It's oh man, he's even explaining Joker. Yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, we know. We know.
We
Joker.
know, man. We know.
Joker
We know.
came out
Yeah.
years ago. We know.
We know.
Yeah.
Aliens versus Larry the Cable Guy. Oh God, no.
Ow, ow.
Jesus.
Jesus
Aliens
Christ,
versus
fucking-
Ace Ventura, mate. That's where I'd go.
That'd be a good movie.
Yeah.
Really cool to see Gunner so close to me right now.
Yeah.
The closest he's ever been.
There are just some like look, Terminator, Aliens, Predators are just 3 franchises where you just can't get more out of it. Unless you go way out of left field and just have no humans, which is impossible for Hollywood because they can't even give you a Transformers film without copying and pasting the same premise in every fucking film. They can't do Godzilla versus Kong without having the fucking humans in there. Okay, so I know it's impossible for Hollywood, but hey, Predator, you know what I will do? I will just have it with a film full of predators and nothing else. Well, and maybe other alien species that they fight against or whatever. Just dive into their lore and just show them being fucking crazy, insane nut jobs, not getting their ass kicked by some 60-year-old fucking police officer in LA and some fucking Native
So-
American.
I think you're thinking of a different Joker film. What Joker film are you on about, dude?
Are you talking about the animated shit? Because if you're talking about the animated shit, that's a whole different department.
Is it
The
also called
Joaquin
the
Phoenix
Joker?
one, House, mate. We've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen that one.
We've seen it. I
If you're
loved it.
talking,
That was a
if you're
great
talking
film.
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah, that was a good Joker film.
That is the only Joker
Alien,
film.
Yep.
yeah, as in the shit, with special effects.
Just a
yeah.
snub film. Well, that's just another Alien
Yeah,
versus
it's not
Predator
animated,
film.
yeah.
You
The
know.
one with Robert De Niro, that one, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've all seen that. It's great. It's a great movie. My only issue with that film is that Joker comes across as an anti-hero, and that I have a problem with, because Joker should never be seen as an anti-hero. He's crazy. You know, he's beyond crazy, and that's how he should be framed. You know,
But I know what you mean, but they got it right, because the one thing they did it. What made me love this film more was that it highlighted the failures of capitalism. And,
yeah, I agree.
And
yeah.
you know, underfunding mental health and all of that has consequences. Now, the reality is a lot of people just end up committing suicides or whatever. But that's what I loved about the film. It just highlighted what happens when you cut funding and all this kind of shit, and it has repercussions.
Actually, it's a good segue actually regarding the ending of capitalism, because I was hoping to talk about France. And what's been
Oh boy, yeah.
and what's
Yeah,
been
go for
going. Sorry, I'm just having to clean some bird shit. 1 second.
All right. Well, the
That's
French police murdered another kid, and so the French just started rioting as they do, because why the fuck not?
Sadly,
I wish we
this
did
is
that more over
sa-
here.
It's part of
sadly
their
this
culture,
is
dude.
yeah. Sadly,
Every-
this is nothing new because we go through this shit in America. It seems like once a fucking week, crazy shit
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But the people have a lot more power in France. I mean, look, the people in France have so much power that when it came to their rioting and and all of their protesting, they were able to take down the monarchy in France. You know,
Right.
so it's been part of French culture for centuries, and this is no different. You know,
hang on,
what's
Sam. Sorry,
happening
mate.
here.
Let me just hang on. I must admit, I enjoyed Prey I love Prey. Oh, it was a great film. It was great. I'm just saying, like, I don't want another one like that. I don't want another film with humans in it. And yeah, of course,
I'm being a
to bring
dick.
these guys up. I especially liked how it pissed off geeks and gamers having a female lead. Carl Card, as he found it, was a documentary about sex tourism, and he couldn't meet kids. Fuck.
I'm being a dick. I would stay following you, Chaz, but Zan is being a dick, so I'm out unfollowed.
How are you? I
Are
don't
you
get
being
it.
a dick because he pointed out that we know about the film? Anyway, back to France.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I've only started following this today, regarding the 17-year-old kid who was murdered by French police officers. Now, like a lot of protests that happen, sometimes it just gets overtaken by anarchists and opportunists, and I see that a lot. What's happening in France, because there's a whole bunch of people who was like smashing. Like this guy drove a fucking car into a shop. You know what I mean? Broke down the barrier, you know, with a fucking car. You know, and
Oh my god.
and people were like looting and stuff. But then you go on social media, like Twitter, and because Twitter now has become a right-wing hellhole with full of racists and fascists and stuff like that, they're going like, this is what happens with multicultural. This is oh my goodness. Sorry, this is the failure of multiculturalism. You know what I mean? You know, the only reason why they're getting away with this is because they're minorities and stuff like that. You know, like, Jesus Christ.
That's not
every
entirely
time-
true.
No, it's not true at
Yeah.
all. The failure is that, well, firstly,
It's
you're
capitalism
fucking up
for a
these
start.
people's countries, and you're leaving these countries in such abject poverty that they're fleeing to come to a better life here. And then what happens is they just get put into these ghettos, and upward mobility is practically non-existent, especially like in those parts of France where they just get pigeonholed and are treated like viciously, and then you have this just never-ending vicious circle. of just police brutality, violence, and theft, and all this kind of shit. It's like people love to paint France as this kind of like utopia, but it's they're fucked. That their treatment of immigrants over there is just abysmal. Like, they literally have like ghettos in France because they like to keep them closed off and away from the rest of society. And it reaches a boiling point. To the point where, like, fuck it, you're gonna riot and break shops. Like I always say, if you're gonna break into shops, make sure it's a corporation, like not an independent chain, because that's just scummy.
Yeah, some Paul Guy's corner shop is just the worst thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't like that at all. But watching some of the protesting that's happened from that, like there's all these kids on their phones, and you can say that and I just feel that a lot of the anger from what's happened has been lost into opportunistic looting to a degree. It's all mixed up, and there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I mean that's sadly it happened here as well. When Mark Duggan got shot by the cops, people just saw it as an opportunity to just start fucking looting, and nothing got changed. They just used it as an opportunity to just fucking rob places, and they rioted that one time, and they didn't do it again for more egregious reasons like poverty and the current cost of living crisis. And I'm like, why don't we fucking riot now? But we rioted over some shithead drug dealer who we still feel the repercussions of, who gunned down a fucking family member, not within my family circle. She was only 18, the poor girl. Okay, had nothing to do with nothing. They just shot her in the middle of the fucking street in Tottenham. All right, and people rioted over this scumbag, but for nothing else. Fucking sick of this shit. So
yeah, but the world is it's gone mad. No pun intended. Like people are losing their shit.
Here is just hang on, sorry guys, 1 second, because it's causing other people to freeze.
He needs to fix his connection, I think.
Yeah, take the day off, Gary. Anyway, we've got 4 for today. That'll do, because I'm not going to stay on for too much longer. Go on. Sorry, Zam, I keep interrupting you.
Yeah, just saying, like we are at boiling point as a society. I mean, in this country alone, we're on food banks. People can't afford to pay their electricity bills. I don't know how different that is, to the rest of the world, but you add all these injustices as well, and people have just had enough, and they and you have these boiling point moments, and they're rioting on the streets, and like Macron now is even thinking about calling the National Guard and all the French version of it, the military to resolve this issue. But once again, I do feel that some of the, even though I've complained about some of the looting and stuff like that, I do feel that some of the like the propaganda regarding this is made it that the whole of France is going through this. No, it's not. It's just a handful of cities, or maybe even one city in Paris, that is really it's mainly happening in. It's not happening all over France. Not every inch of France has turned into a fucking totalitarian, or sorry, not totalitarian, but some sort of like protesting, rioting hellhole. That's not the case. But it's obviously
look at how well Front National has been doing in France. Yeah, the far right has unfortunately been rising parts of Europe. Well, that's mainly because of huge funding by the Americans into far right parties, and the high use of propaganda against obviously marginalized groups because of the rise of socialism. If you go back to the mid 2010s, when socialist parties or left-wing parties were getting voted in, then the McCarthyism went into overdrive around all of Europe, and is now doing, and this is why we're plunging into like far-right authoritarianism, because the bourgeoisie would much rather have full-on fascism than fucking any kind of left-wing politics, because then it means the rich people have to pay some taxes. We can't fucking have that. And so sadly, this is what's happening everywhere. And this is why you're seeing something like in Italy, they have a far right party in power. And I'm
In
like,
Scandinavia as well, like
yeah,
in
in
Finland
Scandinavia, it's
and
like,
Sweden.
do you
Couldn't
not
believe it.
fucking know your history for the Italians? And like, and I'm like, just humans are just fucking idiots. And like in Greece, you know, they voted in the
They
New
would be.
Democrats, who are they're a right wing party, they're not far right, but they're just as fucking bad as all the others. Same rhetoric, tax cuts for the rich, blame foreigners for everything.
Yeah.
It just never ends.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Shredder, it's all over Europe. Like if you look at like where the funding comes from and all this, like all these big fucking right wing super PACs and yeah, they just fund all these right wing parties all over the world. Like it got exposed when with Steve Bannon and all them lot were kind of doing it, and all these like bot
He-
farms and yeah,
He's
just a
against
mess.
he's against Viktor Orban of Hungary, the dictator of Hungary. He's actually against race mixing,
Yeah.
and I find it fascinating because there's a right wing guy who's part of CPAC and all of that called Dan Bongino in America, and somebody like him would be ostracized if Viktor Orban had his way in America and influenced American people to discard people like Dan Bongino for being mixed race himself. I mean, why do people like this associate themselves with a party that is racist? I know they might be racist themselves and quite bigoted themselves, so they want to associate themselves with other bigots, but these people are bigots towards people who like him, and he's just their face. He is their token. You know what I mean?
Sociopaths are just complete grifters, mate. They're just grifters. They go where the money is. You know,
Yeah, a lot of them do.
If that money was to be made on the left side of politics, they'd all be there. But it's not. It's all to be made on that side because fear, and hatred and division equals fucking money. So,
I mean, look at Donald Trump. The guy is constantly, being indicted or reprimanded or in some sort of legal position that requires him to spend money to get himself out of a problem. He's a self-proclaimed billionaire, but he's always asking for fucking donations for people to bail him out of his problems, and people do. They give him fucking millions. They give this fucking charlatan. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, like, and for somebody who, you know, it's crazy. Like Trump has always, you know, since he became president of the United States, he's had one legal issue after another, and they want to fucking lock up Hillary Clinton. For fuck's sake.
Let's go to the comments. I find it interesting that people in this country are so stupid that they're getting grifted by right wing politics. Yeah, but they're too stupid to understand it. They're too stupid to know. You know, their mind is just too fucking closed in to expand on anything. So they just keep falling for the same shit over and over.
I think it's a bit more than that. I think the fact that they are quite happy to be grifted upon because their hate thinks like when it comes to like logical trains of thought, it outweighs their personal needs. You know, hating on somebody and somebody having a shittier life than them is way more important than their own personal needs and improving their own life.
Yeah, I mean, they find the group that they belong to. You know, they find some longing within those hate groups because they're like, I've got people that like me now, and I feel this camaraderie. So they just get further down the rabbit hole. You've seen it in all these documentaries of these like KKK and all these kind of parties, and why people join them. It's because they feel lost and they need a sense of like belonging.
Yep.
So yeah.
My solution is libertarianism.
Is that your solution? Good God,
really?
no.
Just take over the world and then leave everybody alone.
No, we are living in a libertarian society, though. This is libertarianism.
Oh, look,
corporations
libertarianism,
are doing whatever they want. They rule the roost. They're polluting. They're stripping away people's workers' rights. That's libertarianism.
Yeah, libertarianism is what you get with the fucking submarine capsule, mate.
Yeah, that's libertarianism.
Yeah, that's libertarianism in a nutshell, where you have no regulations whatsoever, and then and then so like because of the lack of regulations and leaving people alone and not keeping an eye on what they should be doing correctly means that then you have people taking the piss when it comes to safety regulations, like a submarine capsule.
Just put it this way: social libertarianism, 100%. Okay, but not corporate libertarianism. They should never be that. They should never be allowed that, because you get things like the submarine, or you get things like the train incident that happened in Ohio. You know, where Trump like deregulated things and was like, yeah, no, you don't need to put in new brakes and all this kind of shit. And then bang, you get East Palestine happening. Those are kind of like, you know, the lapse.
Palestine.
Palestine. and Shredder made the point of it last week, was just like, in America's safety laws are just like, we won't act until it happens. Then it happens, then we'll act. But by then it's like too fucking late.
But for me, I constantly hear with libertarians is big government bad, but they don't have a solution for big corporation, which is worse in my opinion. Because if corporations, if they don't have government keeping an eye on them to do the right thing for maybe employees, people who work for them, then corporations will take the piss. It's very important that checks and balances are done on the powerful, whatever it may be, whether it be government or businesses, enterprises, influencers, or whatever it may be. There needs to be checks and balances so they don't take the piss with people like us.
Yes,
regular people.
Your big dick caused a train derailment, Cheeto. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I'm a social libertarian as well, in the sense that because all these people who are anti-big government, when it comes to maybe certain books being in school, they have a real issue with that shit. When it comes to maybe a trans person being allowed to advertise Bud Light, all of a sudden these these libertarians have a fucking issue with big business, doing what they want to fucking do. They have no problems with businesses turning away gay people from baking a cake, but when they go into a fucking supermarket and they're told to wear a mask, they have a fucking issue. They're not consistent. Libertarians are not fucking consistent. They're just right-wing cunts, who are pretending to be who are pretending to be centrists, but really have an issue.
Take that, Harris, you son of a.
That's a little harsh.
Sorry,
No,
but I want consistency, because I don't ever claim to be a libertarian in every aspect. In some aspects, I do.
I am. I mean, like I said, I'm a social libertarian. Like, live life how you want, never, ever, ever at the expense of someone else's happiness, though. That's always the rule. Never, because they always say, do what makes you happy. Asterisk. Not at the expense of someone else's happiness.
Exactly, and that includes corporations.
And if you want to live on an island,
corporations not gonna. They unfortunately they're just gonna do whatever maximizes profits.
Yeah, they're like, yo, man.
I see what you mean. Yeah, not at the detriment. Yeah, of other people. Yeah, look,
right.
In an ideal world,
take care of your people. You
take
do
care
better
of your people.
in business.
All of that.
Exactly.
But it never happens. It never happens. Unfortunately, because humans are just like greedy by default, and they'll hoard as much wealth as they can, and but in an ideal world, yes, 100%,
libertarians are all for corporations doing anything and everything they want until it involves enforcing TOS on websites or celebrating pride. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If Target wants to sell pride stuff, well, all of a sudden there's a lot of libertarians who have an issue with that, and it's just.
And then speaking of pride, today in the world, they're talking about the Supreme Court just voted. Today, the Supreme Court just voted 6-3. They're like, you can discriminate against LGBTQ people. And I'm like, I'm not fucking surprised to hear that at all.
In what context?
Didn't they drop that in your fucking, that wasn't at the Colorado thing?
They voted against it.
There was a Colorado bill saying you can't discriminate against gay people, and the Supreme Court were like, yes, you can.
Yeah, they did that. Let's see, because this is pretty damn recent. Because I know Biden's like fucking student loan relief plan didn't go through. They're like, fuck that. That ain't gonna work. We ain't having that bullshit.
Yeah, part of the problem. The thing is like for a lot of corporations now, they're losing both the right and the left. They're losing the right because the rights are full of bigot, but they're losing the left because the left don't want to be seen as a way of marketing, their struggles, which is something they've having to deal with, from the beginning of time, and they want these corporations, if they're going to market off their struggles, then to help them with their struggles. Don't just last minute, put all your fucking price stuff at the back of the fucking shop because you're getting a little bit of heat from some right wing cunts. Don't all of a sudden fire your fucking marketing manager who brought in Dylan Mulvaney because there's dickheads like fucking Kid Rock shooting up Bud Light cans with his AR-15. If you're gonna,
they didn't even show it. Like once after the whole incident happened, Anheuser-Busch never even contacted Dylan Mulvaney after the fact to offer some kind of protection or to see how she was doing or anything. They just fucking made their money or lost their money and just left her to rot. And it's just like
if you want to make money off the LGBTQ, then back them. Don't just run away the moment there's a bit of heat, because the problem is LGBTQ constantly suffer heat. They're constantly getting shitted on, and so now you know how it feels.
Yep.
Back then.
And Ginger's absolutely right, because it happened today here in Colorado. They're like, 6-3. They're like, you could discriminate against gay people, and I'm like, I'm not surprised. This country is on its way backwards. Fucking ridiculous.
I just want to go here on. I'll be right. Hello, Mr. System. I'll be back on that, Jose. Just 1 second here. If the boycott against Bud Light is working, why is their share price sitting at 56.72? Listen, mate. Bud Light is no longer America's #1 beer. Now it's El Special Modelo, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch. I was pissing myself laughing. So they switched from to a Mexican beer. So the bigots went from like no to trans beer, yes to Mexican beer, but it's still owned by the same fucking company.
You're still putting money in their pockets, you fucking moron.
Laughing my head off. It's like switching from Coca-Cola to Dr. Pepper.
Well, they did the same thing with Frosties, or as you guys call it, Frosted Flakes, because Dylan Mulvaney was at this event and Tony the Tiger mascot was there too, and they took a picture together. And so obviously the right wing loses their shit and says, "I'll never buy Frosted. I'll never buy Frosted Flakes again. I'm going to buy Fruit Loops," not realizing they're both
the same fucking company.
Like, what the fuck? These people are so
these
fucking
people
stupid.
are so fucking stupid. Like stupid. Like there's just no other word for it.
I tell you this, no son of mine is going to be gay, so I went to Target. It was within walking distance, so I drove over there and I told them I was tired of this bullshit. That's exactly what the fuck they sound like too.
Yep.
I can do better.
But
I'm from the South.
And thing is, we look, we've been warning people about this. We've been saying, you think they're only going to start with the drag queens and the trans people? It's just a gateway to go after gay people, and then back to going after minorities, and then women, and then basically anyone that's not Anglo white, and then they'll be going after other Christian nominations, and then they'll be going after themselves. It never ends.
Yep.
It never ends. They've got to go after somebody because right wingers are they just cannot stop interfering with people's lives. They need to feel that sense of superiority and control over everyone. And it's not just making profits is not enough. They just have this incessant need.
Yeah, you need to be like us. You cannot be your own individual.
Yeah.
You need to think what we think, watch what we watch, and
that's it.
Blah, blah, blah.
We'll never leave you alone. It's just like, and I blame the media for this. I blame the press and I blame the media because they've allowed it to happen. They have not, they've been, here's both sides. Both sides are right and all this. And I've just been like, no, you've allowed for this to happen. And the BBC has allowed for many anti-trans articles to kind of pop up and play out and how they've titled these kind of things. And then they've just played their role in it because at the end of the day, it's just a nice distraction for the plebs, whilst the rich carry on plundering. Like Thames Water is about to go fucking completely bankrupt, and they're going to get bailed out by the government here in the UK. because we privatized our water under Thatcher, and all the money and the profits have been going to them. They've been grossly underinvesting into infrastructure, and now it's just bleeding and out of control, and they're still sucking up all the profits. And you know, every time the argument is privatization doesn't work, and then you have leaked emails by other water companies saying we must stop nationalization at all costs. We cannot allow it to happen. Why? Because their big fat government payout, their government handout
You're talking about Thames
will
Water
disappear.
here.
Not just Thames Water, the Severn Trent Water, all these kind of water companies.
They're getting bailed out, man.
They get bailed out all the time.
14
There's
billion.
socialism. The
For the
rich
rich.
know that socialism is a great thing because they're the ones that reap the benefits of socialism.
Yeah,
They
my
get all the
tax
government
money.
handouts. And in fact, it's
Yeah.
worse than socialism because they don't have to contribute a fucking thing to society. They just need to know somebody in power that will put them in a powerful position, and they just get to reap the rewards. Okay, and that's not fucking socialism. Socialism is saying everyone contributes to society and taxes get shared out equally, put into proper utilities and education and healthcare and public transport and all this kind of shit. It just fucking sickens me that they know all this shit and they don't want, imagine having that mentality. You go into power and you have such disdain for people under you that it's literally, you find it offensive having to share our tax money with ourselves rather than you get to keep it. That's their mentality. It's just like, no, that's my money. It's like, no, mate, that's our money, and you're taking our money.
Which is what happened in America because Joe Biden passed that thing about giving tax relief to student loan relief to students, obviously.
And look how offended they got.
And the Supreme Court struck that down.
Yeah, they should have put that. Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
but
everything that this orange ass bag did in 4 years, he fucked this country up way worse than it's been in a long time, and it's going to take decades to overturn.
It's more to do with society, though, not necessarily what's happening in government. It's society, because people are now conspiracy theorists. They all fucking believe all types of bullshit. So many people believe that he's
social media
president.
made that too easy.
Yeah,
social media.
Yeah.
Push, it's only in the last few months that my YouTube channel has been feeding me left wing, like the Humanist Reports and all these kind of things. I never used to get these channels recommended to me. It's only recently that it's happened.
Yeah.
Whereas before, every Shredder would love this one because every single comic book fan that is a fucking right wing knob jockey, okay, has been getting recommended to me. All the fucking legacy media gets recommended to me. All the kind of shit that the algorithm knows that I have nothing to do with is still getting pushed to me. And this is why we're seeing such a dumbing down of nations, because they just get fed these conspiracy theories. And people within my demographic, which is like Greco-Turkish, Asian, Black, that kind of thing, they're more susceptible to this kind of stuff in this country, because obviously when you grow up in like a poor area and your education ain't great. And I've seen all my friends, they've just gone down this fucking, and in fact, I'll take that back, because even the well-educated ones have gone down this fucking conspiracy rabbit hole. And it's just like, mate, stop fucking following this shit on social media. It's designed to sell you lies, and you're just helping the rich. That's all you're doing.
Yep.
Okay, we've got some comments here.
Hey, Facebook user.
So, first of all, Funeral Friend, my favorite guy, because he's so wrong. The whingers are back pretending capitalism is the problem. Capitalism has always been the problem, dude. I mean, your life will be,
baby.
And I mean, unless you're like super rich yourself, your life will probably be better without it.
Yeah, in which case, capitalism's great.
One of us. You must love NerdTube, not each other. Yes. Shredder lives on, says one of the Supreme Court justices, I think it was Thomas, said that he was looking at rolling back gay marriage following Overton and Roe. He mentioned it a while back. But
I remember that. Yeah, Clarence Thomas.
But he had no. He has no desire to roll back interracial marriage, even though maybe some of his colleagues might do, because he himself is in an interracial relationship. The fucking hypocrite. how the air where you live today. Because sorry, having a little conversation.
Oh my God, man! You and the comments, you go too far back. Stop there. Stop there. Stop there. Every time with the comments, you go back to points where we've already covered. Right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You spank me later.
Yes.
Me too. Okay. So I'm gonna find out who this fucking guy is on Facebook.
Yeah, apparently
Um,
socialism has no problems. None when it's done right. When it's done right, it's perfect. Communism, on the other hand, can go fuck itself because that's way too unrealistic. Vance, yeah, the air has stopped smelling like an ashtray here, finally.
Okay, good.
And fuck's sake, I'm still pissed that when I left videos on computing on autoplay, I eventually got Computing Forever, aka Dave Cullen, talking about how the Great Replacement was real. You see what I mean? Even people that you think that are massive intellectuals, they get down these fucking rabbit holes of stupidity.
I'll be right back. Just give me a second, guys.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Yeah. Over here in the UK, they ruled out the courts ruled that the sending immigrants or refugees off to Uganda is inhumane, and everyone on the right's having a fucking meltdown. Even for the fact that it got exposed that, hey, just sending one of these people away costs £170,000.
It's cheaper to feed them and house them, isn't it?
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's talk real numbers. Let's use critical thinking skills.
Exactly, Harris. This is what I mean. It costs more to score political brownie points than it does to just house and feed refugees. It's just, but I mean, housing in the UK.
This is what I want my tax money to go to, because we all live in this society together. Yeah, and not everyone obviously has had things run as well for them as the person next door, but with a more with a society that is more beneficial to everyone, give them an opportunity, put them in house. We don't want people on the street. Put them in housing. Make them feel worthy of being in the society. Get themselves cleaned up. Find them a decent job. And make that job worthy of giving them a living wage, and whatever. And that living wage could be in any job you fucking do, whether you're flipping burgers or you're a fucking brain surgeon. Every job has a fucking need. If the job didn't have a need, then you shouldn't be paying people for that job in the first place, because every job is required for some reason or other. Cleaning toilets, so fucking important. You know why? Because nobody wants to be pissing in public toilets or shitting in public toilets that are dirty. All of these things are fundamental, and they need to be paid superbly well. And the people at the very top who are making all these profits, they should just take a little bit less. I've always said people like Jeff Bezos, he's got hundreds of billions. Do you think if he only had 10 billion, his life wouldn't be fucking great? It'd be fucking amazing. I mean, he doesn't need all this extra additional billions. If he just gave it back to his staff and gave them a better life and they earn a better wage, then the world would be a fucking better place for for people who work for Amazon. But he doesn't.
Well
do
said,
that,
babes. Exactly. This absolute Harris, what do you have to say about this treasonous? Right, Jesus, Iran number one, Russia number one, USA patooey. Oh my God, Shredder screenshotted that, so you're going down, mate. But you might get a job with Putin.
I have to assume he was being sarcastic.
Socialism, communism, democracy, they all have multiple forms, some good, some evil. Well, when we get to the good parts of like socialism, it works great. But unfortunately, as soon as a country votes in a socialist government, let's have a look at Mexico, for example. Not even a socialist government. They're just a center-left government. What's the rhetoric in America? Fucking nationalizing their lithium. We need to go to war with Mexico.
Yeah, invade Mexico.
The minute a left-wing government gets elected anywhere, the banks come down hard on them. The Americans go into overdrive to depose these governments. And then everyone's like, oh, look, see, socialist governments, they fail all the fucking time. And it's just like, well, no, that's not fucking true. If you leave them be and let them get on with it, they're remarkably successful. That is why they go into overdrive to discredit and smear and depose left-wing governments. You know, it's the perfect political system to have for people that want a fair society. We can't have that. You're for democracy, but socialism is democracy in the work. Oh, fuck off, Gary. Jesus Christ. Socialism is just a democratization of everything, not just the workplace. Okay.
There are extremists in all forms too. On
Yeah,
left wing,
those are
right
commies.
wing.
We call them commies.
I would
communist.
when I was playing video games with certain friends of mine, or people like not friends of mine, people I would play video games with. I came across some American dudes, and we were talking, public healthcare. Now we in the UK have public healthcare. Even though our public healthcare could be a lot better, I still would never trade it for the American system, not in a fucking heartbeat. But I told these American guys, why don't you want a public healthcare? Because there's no chance of going bankrupt. Whatever. There's no concerns about pre-existing conditions. If you're ill, you get sorted. And they tell me the reason why they don't want it is that they're worried about immigrants and illegal immigrants getting their hands on it. As far as I'm concerned, if somebody is in my country and they are sick, I don't give a damn if they're a taxpayer or not. I want them to get treated. That's because I'm a humanitarian in that sense. I don't determine somebody's national status, whether they should get treatment in my country or not. I think that they're in my country, regardless of what their nationality is, regardless if they pay tax or not. Fucking get treated. That's how I look at it.
Health shouldn't be a commodity at all.
Yeah.
Neither should housing. Neither of those should be a commodity. That's your basic human right. Food as well. Like fucking hell. Like the complete privatization of food just sickens me.
And water.
It's just like fuck you. That's your right as a human being, and you have to go to a fucking supermarket with these large corporations that have complete control on distribution and prices, and it's just no, fuck you. Everyone should be entitled to get a food package of the basic essentials, and then if you want the nice kind of, you can then go to your supermarkets to supplement your basic needs with your sauces and all this kind of shit. It just fucking boggles my mind.
Yeah, it does. It does.
In the kibbutz, people don't pay for their fucking food. In the kibbutz, they all go to the canteen. The food is there for them. They don't pay. They get food packages as well. That's socialism. That's what they did in even in like communist Russia. That's what they did. They were giving people food packages and all of that. And in the Scandinavian countries, you get all these like packages when you're about to have a newborn child and all this kind of stuff to kind of help you through it. Stop need to commoditizing every fucking aspect of our lives. Like capitalism is just a cancer that seeps to profit off of everything. Everything. I guarantee you, if they could do it with oxygen, they fucking would.
Yeah,
you can't.
Don't breathe unless I tell you to breathe. Damn it.
Yeah.
Jose, Steve, you guys are American taxpayers. Your American taxpayer money goes towards Israel. That money helps Israel's public healthcare system. They have actually got national healthcare for their citizens. So Americans are contributing to national healthcare for Israeli citizens whilst not having national healthcare for themselves. The irony is unfucking believable.
We'll be dead by the time
that works, but
we'll be dead by the time universal health care passes, if it ever does. That's how that's going to go.
Sure.
It's crazy. I just don't understand how regular American citizens are so against it. I mean, all their fucking allies have it. Yeah, and you ask any country with public health care, not one person who lives in those countries will want to fucking trade it for what you guys have. Not one. I mean, politicians would, because they're sellouts and they want to make money, because they have all the money in the world, but it's never enough for these motherfuckers. They still want to make more. But regular Joes like myself and Jim, oh yeah, of course, I do know that, but still, unfortunately, people within your country are still they're still brainwashed in the sense that somehow they think that I can get my own doctor and all of that shit. No, you just don't want to be going bankrupt because you got the fucking measles or you fucking twisted your ankle, or you got even cancer. You know, I mean, those things could destroy a family, man, and it's just
The thing is, though, if you
crazy.
talk to majority of right wingers, like even dickhead Tim Pool and things like that, they're for public health because they know what it's like. Like, what was it like? 77% of Republican voters want public health care now. You know, so it's gone up amongst all demographics because they know they know when it's something that affects you personally. You're like,
Yeah, they don't care
yeah.
until it affects them.
Yeah,
That's
once
what
it
it is.
affects them and it's affecting
Mhm.
everyone and it's gotten worse, they're just like, yeah, okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I like this because they, funnily enough, what you find is they actually, when somebody just slowly explains it to them what it means, they're just like, oh yeah, no, actually, I like this. Like the amount of times, like there's this website called the Chive that I used to go to years ago, and I'd argue with a lot of Americans in there about public health care. And I was just like, dude, you're just parroting Fox. You're literally parroting Fox News. That is
Venezuela.
verbatim. I could tell you exactly the host that said that. And you're parroting. I said, so that's not your own thoughts. That is somebody that's fed you that. I said, here's the reality. 10 to 11% of your wages goes towards a national insurance. And then aside from paying a prescription, like £9 per prescription drug, which that shouldn't even be in this country. That's ridiculous. But that's it. You don't. There's not, at the point of use, you'll never pay another penny about anything. You can have 10,000 surgeries, and you'll still never pay anything more than the national insurance that you pay every month. And if you don't work, you still get fucking, your healthcare is still free. If you're unable to work, you're still taken care of. You don't pay for anything. And if you can't work, you don't pay for prescription either. So all your pills and your medication is free. Your dental work is mostly free or very, very cheap. In fact, no, if you don't work, your dental work is free if you have an NHS dentist. And people don't but when you explain it to them slowly, they're like, oh yeah, actually that sounds great.
Want to respond to this comment?
They aren't going to work for free and not going to work for spiritual rewards. I don't get what that mean. What are you talking about?
Probably
I think it's like maybe no.
If you're thinking about,
nobody's working for free. We just think, if anything, we want people to get paid better.
Yeah, we want to be able to live. Damn it.
Yeah. The thing is that most of the money gets scooped up by the top. Hence the top 1%. They've got more money than they'll ever need. Maybe if they didn't have all this fucking money and it was redistributed to the rest of society and it would actually stimulate the economy, the world would be a far better place.
Yeah,
people keep saying, oh, like someone like Jeff Bezos, they go, he earned this money, goddamn it, he's allowed to keep it. I'm thinking to myself, no, he didn't earn this money. The fucking people on the ground who are packing those boxes, delivering those packages, all of that shit, they're the ones making the fucking money for someone like Jeff Bezos, and those people work fucking hard. It's the same with people who own like franchises like McDonald's or whatever. It's all those fast food workers who are constantly having to deal with dickhead customers, making the money for the shareholders and these owners. They need to be paid a better fucking wage. So it's not about free food and free money and shit like that, or free work. It's actually paying people better so that they can live a decent fucking life.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Thank you to farmers for producing the food. Yeah, and a lot of farmers get government subsidies because they can't function otherwise. But then all their produce then goes to a private corporation.
Yep, and
who then charges you a ridiculous amount.
Yep.
Your farmer. The way it should work with a farmer is if you want to be a farmer, here's a nice plot of land. You pay no. I wouldn't tax farmers, first of all, and I wouldn't fucking charge them for a house. They get a free house for life, and they've got their land to work on. They get government subsidy for their production, and they create the fucking food that we need that's distributed with food packages. That's paid for through our taxation, because when your tax goes to everything but the rich and the fucking wars, and it's fairly distributed, you can pay for fucking practically everything. And if you're charging, like, if you have your public utilities, your public services, your public transport and all that, and we pay a little bit to use that, all that money goes straight back into the service or into our taxes, and people will get windfalls from that as well. But no, all of that just goes straight into the pockets of the few, and this is the problem we have.
Yep. And what's going to end
People
up
who, once
happening?
again, who don't need it.
And
Like
here in
Elon Musk,
America, I can't fucking wait for the housing market to crash because out here in Colorado, your average price for a starter home, keep in mind a starter home is $750,000 fucking dollars,
Fuck,
and there's
it's
no
gone
way
up.
you can afford that.
that's insane. That's
Mhm.
those are fucking big, worse than UK prices now.
Yep.
well,
Like,
I mean, I would say maybe older, but yeah, I mean, they're probably starting to realize that they need their healthcare as they get older. I always wondered how America.
I've covered that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, but sorry, but look, I've always like wondered, like somebody explained, you two explained to me, but I've asked this question before. How do people who like say play like gridiron American football or learn to be a wrestler, how can they do that line of work prior to even making it and be able to handle all the injuries they're gonna fucking get and not go fucking bankrupt doing so
You
in
got to
your
know how
country?
to. You got to
I
know how
just
to
don't
manage
get
your
it.
money, man. You got to know how to manage your money. You can't spend it like it's water. And that's
You have a
how
good insurance company.
Yeah, you got to have a good insurance company. You
For
got
instance,
to.
if you hurt your shoulder and then you hurt your shoulder again, that's a pre-existing condition. Which is just that alone just drives me so fucking mad.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Crazy too.
the America healthcare system would take all fucking day to explain, and we ain't got that kind of time to do that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
this: I was in the military for 20 years, so I've spent a lot of time in what I would consider socialized medicine. However, in the medicine that I got, the care that I got was top notch, and I was one of their priorities. I mean, why not? You're in the military, you're on active duty, you're a priority. However, my family wasn't so lucky. They were on the same level. They were supposed to get the free, medical care, dental, eye care, and all of that kind of stuff. And it always seemed to be some kind of an issue. For example, my middle child had a strange ailment. I'll just call it that for now. And the doctor would not believe what we were describing. And here's the ailment. And it's not just sugar, okay, but it's corn syrup, anything sugar that would produce sugar in his body. It became blood alcohol.
Oh, bloody hell.
So he was going hyper on sugar, but it wasn't your normal kids bouncing around the room because they have sugar. It was then he had a hard crash and acted like a hangover. And they just didn't, so I said, look, it's not just sugar. It's anything that produces sugar. So starches, whatever.
Yeah.
And they made him sit there and do blood tests for hours. They'd take blood, they got a baseline. They gave him a soda. They took blood and they saw that it went up. And they're like, we can't believe this is happening. I said, I didn't have the scientific knowledge to explain it, but the doctor finally realized it wasn't that simple thing. Eventually, we got it diagnosed as a rare ailment, but the only way they could help us was to actually take time and spend all that time on that one kid and put other people behind in whatever they were having to be done to be seen. So in that one case, my kid took priority, but those other people had to wait because of my kid. Now, that's the type of a dilemma that we all have in all of our healthcare systems, but that was all paid for by my government. Okay. In that case, I feel like I was done very well. Now I'm retired. I get what's called TRICARE Prime. I have to pay into it. It's a type of insurance. I have that too. because
Yeah, that's good.
I'm medically retired also. So it's so complicated. We go to the doctor, we sign these forms that say that if their procedures not covered by our insurance, that we agree we're going to pay for it. Well, we don't even know what the price is going to be. It's like
It could
casting
be in the
lots, you know.
thousands.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know. And it should not be legal for any company to do that to any individual, because what could happen is, here I am on Social Security, disability, and this type of insurance that I should have earned, and I'm still having to pay for. Okay. And they're still talking about sending not tax collectors. What do you call that? The
Debt
people that come and
collectors.
get you when you don't pay your bill.
Debt
Debt collectors.
Debt collectors.
There you go. Bill collectors, debt collectors. So we're basically one step away from creating debtors' prisons again in the United States.
Mhm.
We're taking things from people, forcing them to live in the streets, and then taking away their health care.
Yep.
I'm not for
Uh,
socialized medicine per se, but I am all for revising our current situation. It is not
Yeah.
equitable. It is difficult to get the medications that I require by the doctor. I'm living in a state where I can't even get pain medicine, because the only pain medicine that worked for me was codeine based medicine. Or they haven't tried it. Marijuana might work, you know, but I'm in a state that does not allow that yet. So, you know what they make? I bite the bullet. I don't
Yeah,
have pain
that's
medicine.
sad. You shouldn't have to. Like under socialized medicine, that wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. They'll get you the best drugs needed to fight your pain. And even like over here now, we do have medical marijuana finally as well, which is a great pain relief. And it just, when you have government funded healthcare that's done right, it is illegal for them to put any barriers from you getting treatment. So here in the UK, they cannot stop you from getting the treatment that you want.
Yeah.
They cannot say you have a limit on surgery. You can't take this drug or that drug. The only time you're denied drugs is if it has a direct effect on your health. You know, new experimental drugs can take time to make their way to the national health, and sometimes people have to pay out of pocket and all of that. But that's again a failure from the government to kind of act quicker, because again they it's beneficial for them to privatize everything because they're friends and they get to profit. But in the real world, when it's done right, you don't get denied nothing. Like in Greece, they have a two-tier system. You can either pay or get it for free. But even the free system in Greece just fucking, like, every time I go to Greece, I will go and get fully tested. Uh, everything, because I mean, the doctors in Greece are just one of the best in the world, and all of that. And even with the two-tier system, it cost me €40 to get my full body checked, maybe an extra 10, €20 to have scans and all this kind of stuff. So for €100, I could get everything fucking done and I won't get price gouged. Whereas in America, to do anything basic like that, it costs up to thousands of dollars just for scans and things like that. From what I hear, I might be wrong. But
You have deductibles, yeah. You
Oh
never
no,
know.
yeah,
you got it right.
But-
I mean, you could do something as simple as break your fucking ankle, and it's going to cost you easily like maybe a couple $1,000.
But
Yeah.
the point is, Steve, is that you mentioned all of these financial things and all these medical financial records you have to go through. You know, when you have a situation, look, here in the UK and other countries with socialized medicine, that's just not an issue. The moment you're sick, that takes priority, and you go to hospital, and they're not caring about about finances and all of that sort of stuff. They just want to know your medical history, because obviously that's important. And it's such a weight off people's shoulders when you have something like that in your society, because we all live in this country together. We all live in these towns and cities together, and staying healthy is very beneficial for everyone. You know what I mean? It's very beneficial for society and not getting bankrupt over it. Because, if I was in America and I'm sick and then I'm having to worry about my finances, it's a double-edged sword. You need
Yeah.
medical help, and then you could also be going bankrupt for it as well. I mean, you might
Well,
as well
even
just fucking take death. It'd be a
even
lot
seeing
better.
even on mental health stuff, like I know people here in the UK say, look, mental health is grossly underfunded, and they're right. But in my borough, we have a great service, and it costs me like 40 quid per session, which is fucking cheap compared to a lot of the places. Now, if I'm not working, that costs me only £15. It's like $20 per session. Because when I had like a mental breakdown a couple of years ago, and my brother, like bless him, he paid for me to go and get treated. Where I was going first, it was like 70 to 80 pounds per session. But then I was just like, I don't like using up my brother's money like that. It's not fair on him, even though he never, didn't care. Like as long as I got better, and I then looked more locally for it, and I found that it was costing me only £15 per session, and that helped me hugely. Uh, just doing that, but so even on simple things like that, there's like help here in the UK to get things done on the cheap, and it just makes the world of difference because that helped me immensely from taking my life and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of places don't have those provisions, or they're just too fucking expensive. And I think mental health sessions as well should be free, should be completely covered. And some people can get it for free here in the UK as well, especially if they're like a mother and all this kind of stuff, or disabled and all of that. But even that, like things that
Well,
yeah, every aspect like that, they're just so important for people, and we shouldn't be.
you mentioned mental health.
Yeah,
Just like to sidetrack here. Like one of the issues you guys have in the States is your mass shootings, and the people who are protectors of gun rights and don't want to change any gun laws whatsoever are going down the mental health route. But are they at the same time trying to, you know, create bills that will look into mental health? No.
No, and
I
that's
mean,
exactly the problem. You're right.
Yep,
Now I
that's exactly
am
the issue.
okay.
no,
Straight
no,
up
but,
now.
no,
no,
Don't
wait, wait,
don't
wait, wait,
hang
Sam.
me.
Let them talk. Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry.
uh,
Don't hang me because I'm old school. I'm an old person. Okay, I grew up in a different world, and when I was younger, we didn't have this problem with uh, I don't know what you want to call it, whatever is going on here.
You didn't have the
I
stigma.
Well, no, it's not just the stigma. It's the whole thing with taking a gun and killing people. It wasn't as common until like the 70s when we had riots and people were going out with guns specifically to do that kind of a thing. Um, I was part of a rifle team in high school. Okay, it's a sport. Um, we were allowed to check out our weapons at the police station armory, take them to school, check them in the armory there, which had an ROTC group. Don't know if you're familiar with that, but it
Yeah.
was okay. So we had an ROTC group that I was a member of. We checked those weapons in there. These are working 22 caliber rifles with ammo. Took the ammo box of ammo, turned it
Can I
in,
just ask,
gave them the
uh,
gun.
when you were carrying the rifle, was you allowed to carry the ammunition as well? Was the ammunition at the
Yes,
school? Oh,
it
you
was
were.
not
Okay.
loaded. It was not loaded.
Yeah.
The box of ammo was in one pocket. The weapon, if you want to call it a weapon, because it was a target rifle, but it was legally a weapon. I'm 17 years old, carrying a rifle on my shoulder, and nobody batted an eye. It was normal. It was normal. Okay, but did I go out and do bad things with that thing? No. I was a moral person who knew my responsibilities. I took the training sessions and I knew what to do and not to do. Okay. Something broke down in our society around that time. And that also is with the healthcare system. When I was sick, we didn't worry about how much it was going to cost. It was usually a very nominal fee just to see the doctor. And, your surgery, you might worry a little bit about, but it was nothing outrageous like today. People with cancer, they were seen right away, and they did everything they could to save them. We didn't have the medications. So it was usually palliative care. But, you didn't have to worry about going bankrupt to save someone's life. That's what I'm talking about fixing right now. It's like you said, healthcare. Okay, you need mental health for free. I agree 100%. The first thing the police should be doing when they show up is have enough training to know if this is a mental health issue or is this somebody being evil.
But they can't wait to use their guns, unfortunately, American cops. But Steve, I wanted to add, for a start, like here in the UK, for instance, we do have guns in this country, but it is fucking hard to get one. There's a lot of loopholes, a lot of fucking things, a lot of red tape. You have not loopholes, lots of red tape. You have to get through.
Not really. No, let's look.
Sorry,
it's not that much of a red tape because it's basically, look, you're allowed a hunting rifle here. So if you have farmland and all of that, and you show the police that, look, you want your hunting rifle to either do clay pigeon shooting or to go and hunt deer or whatever it is you're going to hunt and all of that, you can get a rifle. It's not a huge process. You get a mental health checkup. So to see if you're of sound mind, you categorically must have a lock cabinet in your house. You cannot have your rifle ever in your house outside the lock cabinet. Though most of them do. They just mount it on the wall and all this kind of stuff. We just don't do handguns anymore. We used to up until 96, where we had our mass shooting at a school in Scotland. And as soon as that happened, our government just bans handguns and that. So you can get, your guns, but it's a hunting rifle, and you need checkups every so often.
It's not as easy to get a gun in this country as it is in the States.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what's happened in America too is that they've made it even fucking easier to get a gun, and so now any old Tom, Dick, or Harry can get one, and then Tom, Dick, or Harry are the people shooting up your fucking schools. You need more regulation when it comes to guns. Yes, I know a lot of Americans love their fucking Second Amendment, and also since the 70s, the guns they've been creating are like way more like dangerous than they've ever been. They can high capacity magazines that can shoot
AR-15s, all this kind of stuff.
And shoot bullets like there's no tomorrow. Like they are weapons of death, and these things are being sold, like in places where you could also buy fucking candy.
Also,
it needs to be taken more seriously.
Hang on. Also, there's also the factor of again, majority of Americans are for safe gun, for better gun safety laws. The majority of NRA members are for it. The NRA sadly got taken over by fucking, your corporations who have kind of helped push for deregulation. So it's easier for Americans to buy guns. And then you get the propaganda and the culture that kind of whipped everyone up into a frenzy. Add to that the kind of frantic nature of living in America with like over fucking, like, again, that kind of high pressure, the capitalist kind of society, the pressure put on men and their kind of effects that has on its mental health and all that, and everything was just a boiling point. It was just a boiling point. But despite what the media says, majority of people are for sensible gun regulations, but they're only allowing the vocal idiots to have the voice in the media because it just hypes, it just fucking whips up like ratings and tensions and all this kind of shit and that. But then you have these reactionary politicians that are just like, oh, really? Another mass shooting? Well, I'm going to deregulate even further. And it's just like, at some point, Americans have to start turning the guns against those people, if you know what I mean. Okay,
it's going to be a civil war sooner or later because I see that already happening.
I'm just saying, look, don't go to a fucking school if you really want to make a name for yourself. Go to your local politician's office, and you know what? Have at it
Let's
with
not
them.
go there, but
They're the
yes,
ones that deserve it. Okay.
I,
revolutions happen
I-
for
I-
a reason.
No, I just want to go on about the
Yeah.
hypocrisy of people who advocate for gun rights, because the NRA themselves wouldn't have a single motherfucker having a gun at one of their conventions. They know how dangerous guns are. Yet they want fucking teachers to have guns in fucking schools, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? They are beyond hypocrites. When politicians talk, you know, in arenas with thousands of people, not one of these motherfuckers has a gun on them because they don't want to get shot by a
Yeah.
fucking idiot. They understand how dangerous guns are, and they're happy to ban guns when they're around guns. But when they're not around guns, they want everyone else to have fucking guns, and how bad it has fucking do what the
All
fuck
it
you want.
takes is just a handful of lefties to go out there and point those at politicians, and then you will see regulations. They'll be like, nah, I don't really care about profits. I want to make sure nobody can have a fucking gun. That's all it will take. If you turn your guns on the right people, not on innocent people, okay, then you'll start seeing some changes. Okay. I mean, case in point, if you look at Ronald Reagan when he was governor of California, what happened was when black people started exercising their rights to bear arms, he suddenly changed gun laws over there. And
Like
he
the
made
Black
it a lot-
Panthers, yeah.
yeah, he made it a lot tougher for minorities to get guns and all this kind of shit. So you need the right people to. Oh, well, a prime example again: the right wing melted down when trans people and drag queens and lefties were showing up to protest with guns to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And they look
And
like-
they had
yeah, I
a
see-
fucking meltdown over it.
Yeah.
It's just like, look how violent they are. And we're like, no, we are just protecting ourselves from you.
Yep.
And we're not afraid to use it. You know, that's
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
are. But then you need more of that, because the more the left wing have guns, the more you're likely to
You
get
just have to play their own
regulations.
game against them. It's
Yeah,
like the
you
book
need to play
banning and
their own-
stuff like that. You know,
This
like
is
they're
what
banning the
pisses me off.
Bible, which is fantastic because it's got all the sexual content in there, the very sexual content they're complaining about, right wingers are complaining about, and they use their own bans against them, and they're banning the Bible, and the
Yeah.
fucking right wingers can't handle it.
No books should ever be banned.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no book
Everyone
ever
should
be
have the
banned.
individual thought, and decision-making process that they can decide for themselves whether they're going to read this or not. Start with the fly, you open it up, you look at the inside of the cover, you read the synopsis, you go, okay, maybe that's interesting. Or you go, wow, I don't want to read that. And you close it and you go on. It's just
So
like
when-
television. You change the freaking channel. You don't want to watch this show? We're not forcing you to watch this show.
Yeah, whitewashing history is a big fucking problem. It's
Yeah,
like
so like when
history
all
is
these
just
people going about freedom and
Yeah.
you know, and all of this sort of stuff, and the
Can't
anti-big
play the game
government,
if it's rigged. Exactly, Vance.
they're obviously, you know, they're obviously not anti-big government. They're not obviously for freedom because they're happy with government banning fucking books. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're happy
doesn't
with
make any
government getting
sense.
involved in all. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, you know. So
It's not. It's profit. It's
Yeah.
profit over principles. You know what I mean? They don't have principles. They're just reactionaries. They go with hang on, Cheeto. Is this gonna?
This is gonna fuck up too.
Oh, hang on. Let me hide.
I'm going to need to leave soon anyway.
Yeah, I gotta get ready to get out of here anyway, yo.
Well, I'm only staying for a minute. I figure this is kind of a hot topic that I like to talk about. So I'm still working, but
Okay.
what's going on? What did Ginger do?
He hid, so you could.
no, I
Yeah,
can't hear
that's
you,
true.
Ginger. We can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you, Ginger.
You can't hear you. Go on, come back.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay,
I've just
Cheeto,
bowed
go.
out for a second. Will you guys chat?
Yep.
And I'm in the background. It's just because it keeps freezing Jose and Harris. So let me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be in the background.
Okay, go on, Chiefs.
Okay, Cheeto, go.
No, I feel like you guys are talking about the guns and everything like that. Like, I feel like it's also a massive breakdown in parenting. I know I've said that in the past before, but I feel like nowadays we have two, households that have to have two parents working or split households.
And TV
Or-
raises the kids, and
TV and childcare. Here's the other thing: is that you send your kids off to these basically children herding stables, and their kids aren't being raised; they're being watched, like sheep. And I know some places are better than others, but it's like I feel like that's where the breakdown has started. It's like the past couple decades, like Harris was saying, Oh, I don't know. Yeah, because I think that people were raised differently back then, and even people of our generation were still somewhat raised differently. But now it's just the past generation or two, we've really seen the effects of split house, broken households, raising people, the dynamics that come from that. And I'm not saying people shouldn't come from broken households, and I'm not saying that people come from broken households are bad. I'm just saying that means that both parents have to work, both parents, and it's just
Yep.
there's no one there
You don't
raising the
think-
kid.
You don't think that the relaxation of gun laws, just generally making it easier for people to obtain guns, is one of the problems? Because it's a lot easier to obtain guns now than it was during Steve Harris's rifle era. I gather.
Not
It was
really.
always-
I was
No?
17 and I could have bought a gun.
I'm just.
Yeah,
I could've-
what I'm trying to. But you still didn't. You have to have. You told me yourself you had to have checks.
We lost Cheeto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just
But
saying. that
it's not like
it-
today. It's not like okay.
Whoops, shit.
Today
Yeah.
today you have federal laws where you have to pass a background check and go through safety training and X, Y, and Z to do certain things depending on what state you live in. Okay, and that's part of the thing. There's federal law and there's state laws, and a state like Florida's got the least restrictive gun laws, so they do what's absolutely necessary by federal law, and then they throw the rest of it out and say, here's a convention, buy your gun. Okay, I'm not for that. I'm not for that at all.
But once, unfortunately, this epidemic of mass shootings started happening in your country, where it was just recorded, regardless of it being in schools everywhere, supermarkets, synagogues.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where
churches.
you go. It
It-
doesn't
it-
matter
Like I
where
it
you
said,
happened
I think
everywhere.
some of that is mental health issues that are not being addressed.
But
And
do
if
you feel
mental
that?
health
But the fact,
was
the-
a priority.
but we have. But the point is that we have mental health problems in this country too. But the one thing is that the people who have mental health issues have limited access to guns, so we don't have
Right.
mass shootings in the first place. And
you
I
still
do
have
feel that.
knifings and beatings.
Yeah, but we don't have
and-
mass. We don't have mass beatings. Inevitable. Knives are everywhere in society, and they have a use other than killing people for cutting up foods and stuff like that. Guns are strictly there to kill people. That's their purpose in life.
No, they're there.
things,
Yeah.
kill
They-
things.
They're there
They kill-
for hunting too. And now, granted, yes,
Right.
your AR.
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase myself. For killing. Yeah, they're there for killing.
Target
Well,
Alright.
then I guess,
practice,
Zam, you
whatever.
need to go back. Zam, you need to go back then to ancient times when they were killing things with bow and arrows and tell them that they're not
I
supposed
don't
to
get
use
you,
those
but
things.
That's not a rebuttal. The point is that when it comes
Zam,
to
you are a
mental health
butthole,
issues,
so
yeah, when it comes to mental health issues, if we want to make it harder for people to have access to things that are there to kill people, and you have access to things that are killing people, which are fucking guns, and you guys need to make it harder for people to get hold of these guns, regardless of your love affair with the Second Amendment. Because right now it's just too much. In Australia, they had a mass shooting, they changed their gun laws. You guys have had thousands of mass shootings and nothing's changed. And something has to change. It really does. It's a problem now, regardless of what it once back in your day, Steve. It's
Yeah.
different now, and
Yeah.
something has to be done about it.
It's
What's
just
gonna-
difficult for us as Americans to explain that part of our society to you, because, for example, we grew up watching in the 60s, nothing was on but Westerns.
also,
And we didn't
Oh.
wander around with real guns shooting at people but children actually wandered around wearing holsters and cap guns.
Yep.
Okay, I had one. I had them. I had one Christmas. I got a freaking grenade launcher toy, a machine gun grenade launcher toy, so I could be a soldier. That's just the way our society was, and part of that goes
We
back
had
to
that
the
too,
revolution.
Steve. Just so you know, we had like toy guns and stuff like that in this country. All of that, but
hey, Zam,
the line gets drawn eventually.
I want you also to highlight Daniel Vance's message you just put up there, saying that the UK is also 40 times smaller than the US, which
Yep.
is true. And that was a point I was going to bring up. But and as I said,
Percentages,
yes,
right.
but And Ginger Greek has said it himself, is that, if you guys could have guns over there, you guys would be much worse.
Way worse.
No,
Way
by the way,
fucking worse.
actually, no, I'm sorry regarding Daniel Vance. I respect you a lot, but this is a stupid fucking comment, mate. No offense, because the ratios have been done in the past. I've seen all the ratios regarding mass shootings and stuff like that, and America is on a different fucking stratosphere compared to the rest of the world. When you look at the rest of the first world, when it comes to mass shootings, nobody comes close to you guys. You are in the tens of thousands every year of gun deaths.
Yeah,
No other
mass
country in the first
shootings,
world,
for sure.
you know what I
But
mean? And you could, sorry, Jim. Let me finish my point, please.
All right.
And what I'm saying is that if you do the ratio compared to our country to America, we don't even come close to you guys. And even when you could talk about stabbings, you guys have more than that than us. By the way, just so you know, it's a problem in this country for sure, and I would love to find ways of resolving this issue. You know what I mean? I haven't got the answer. I haven't necessarily got the answer for that, and I want it to be resolved. But considering we have such a problem with stabbings in this country, imagine how fucked up this country would be if they also had access to guns. So I'm very happy they don't have fucking access to guns. All right,
But that's the point. That's the point I was making. Like, if we had guns, it may not be mass shootings, but gun violence in this country would be fucking insane if we had guns. Because, like, this country is, like, just fucking stupidly violent. Like, well, I say that. I mean, violent crime has actually gone down quite a lot in the last couple of years. But I think they're going by pandemic levels still, and they're milking that in the media. So let's wait and see. But yeah, I mean, with America, there are so many factors as to why. And again, you can take the guns away from it. You just look at your political climate alone. Because I've got people freezing here. Zam, can I put you on hide for a second?
Yeah, put me up, please.
I gotta get ready to dip anyway. I was just gonna talk about AEW Fight Forever real quick.
Oh yeah, go for it, Jose. Yeah, we can talk about that. We'll go back to the guns afterwards.
Well, I'm gonna step back to work, so I'll still be listening. But
okay, all right.
Bring him back.
Okay, because I'm gonna make this quick. So, AEW Fight Forever, it's like Def Jam Vendetta. If you've played that wrestling game with the rappers, it's pretty much like that. It's fun, it's over the top, it's wacky and all that shit, but it's not worth full price. The roster's pretty good and the mechanics are good, but controls and stuff can be a bit janky at times.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah,
that's a shame. Well, I'm not gonna.
Which platform is this?
This is for PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll be waiting for that to go dirt cheap anyway.
Yeah. Give it a few months and get it on sale, and definitely check it out. It's a good game, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Yux Pacific, they're just not the same company they were back in their prime. They don't even have the same creative directors that they once did. 2K gutted them all out. So even now that Yux's contract was terminated under 2K, they haven't got the same talent. It's a shame, but I'm still thinking it's one of those games. If I'll play it, and if I enjoy it, it's a
play
bonus.
it, check it out. Yeah, play it, check it out. You'll like it. I think it's a good game. It takes you back to No Mercy and all that kind of stuff, but it's one of those that's going to get old really, really fast because it only has a roster of like 60 wrestlers so far, and it's like if it had like 100, it would be a little awesome. But yeah, it's just one of those where it's a good game. It's not all that great. Get it on sale.
Let's see here. Baldur's Gate 3 release date changed from August 28th to August 3rd.
Wow.
Okay, great.
Nice.
All right, let's see what. Hopefully, they don't fucking stuff that full of macros.
Yep.
But you keep me posted on AEW, Jose, as well.
All right. Yeah, we'll do. So I'll see y'all later.
All right, mate. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
all the
thanks,
best.
man.
Take care.
All right, later.
There we go.
See ya.
Right. So, yeah. Okay. We can go
Guns
back
again.
Guns, baby.
Bow, bow, bang, bang, bang,
No,
bang.
but look,
Yeah.
what I was saying before was, okay. If you take guns out of the equation, you have to look at the entire political climate and how the kind of the right has shifted more and more towards insanity and this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not vulgar, volatile. You know, this kind of volatile political climate that has been fostered not just in America, you know, but the difference with America is they have access to guns and all this kind of stuff. But the kind of political climate that gets fostered up by the by the fucking ruling elite and all of this and the cuts in education because as well in your age, Harris, you know, America was one of the best countries in the world for education. All right, you know,
Yeah.
back in those days, okay, and cuts in education, cuts in funding to social programs, cuts in, you know, healthcare being astronomical. Wages haven't grown hardly at all to match inflation. You know, inflation is like that. Wages are just kind of like that. Like, you know, the federal minimum wage still being $7. I know most places don't just offer $7 anymore. But and it's the same here in the UK. You know, I mean, inflation in the UK is just the worst in the Western world at the moment.
Everything's
Everything's like
expensive.
20% has gone up 20% in the last 2 years alone, and wages have nowhere near matched that. But you get all there are so many, all these different factors, plus the kind of chemicals that you have in your food, because your food industry is heavily like,
Yep.
you know, just so full of like all these horrible chemicals and the prescription drugs that you're just giving out willy-nilly, like all this kind of stuff. And
over-the-counter meds that are easy to get.
yeah, the over-the-counter meds and all this kind of shit, like the stuff that we wouldn't even dream of being able to get here without very strict prescription and all this. And just all of that is just one big nuclear bomb that is just going off bit by bit by bit by bit. And people, because you know, especially in America where they're growing up on individualism, and individualism as in fuck you, I'm gonna get mine no matter what, it's breeding a nation of like narcissistic sociopaths who are just not afraid of consequences at all, because they don't understand the concept of consequences, because they've been grown up on exceptionalism and all this and the political climate the way it is and all that. And this is why you have what you have there. So you add guns into that mix, and this is where you are with, like, you know, the fucking mass shootings and all that, because it's just people either want to make a name for themselves, or people have just, because of how they've grown up. And again, like Cheeto said, you know, because everything's gotten so expensive, households are unstable as well, you know, and it all just culminates into what we're seeing here. And again, if we had guns here in the UK, my fucking god, it would be crazy, because like especially among the black community here in the UK, like these people, like they're stabbing people in my area, stabbing each other like they don't want to fucking live tomorrow. And if we add the guns to that mix, Jesus Christ. So
Here's the problem, though. Okay, in the U.S., we have legal guns and illegal guns, and there's a lot more violence, especially black on black or whatever. You know, violent criminal acts are usually done with illegal guns, not the mass shootings. That's been proven. It's technically legal guns, but little Johnny decides to take his dad's rifle to school or whatever. So little Johnny didn't have a legal right to use that gun, and he committed that atrocity. So there's some fine lines. I understand your point of view completely. I'm not dismissing you, but we have a different culture here, partially because of our Revolutionary War. And I'm not trying to drive a wedge between us and you, or me and you, but I'm trying to just explain a little bit of our history, is that we're afraid, the people in general are afraid of a government that will go out of control. And at that point, when the government goes out of control, or another government decides to roll in with their tanks, the people could actually defend themselves or take the government back.
But that's the fear that they sold. That's the fear that they sold you on. The fear that the
Yeah.
Sojourn was government
It's-
tyranny. Unfortunately, you were born into government tyranny from day one. But they keep telling you, no, freedom, freedom, flag, rah, 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 rah. And people don't see it. They keep waiting for the day where government tyranny comes, and it's just like you're living under it. What the fuck do you think this system of unaffordable healthcare, unaffordable rent, student debts out the wazoo, all this kind of shit? What do you think that is? That is
See,
government tyranny.
the people aren't blaming the government for that.
Exactly.
They're blaming the corporations, or they're blaming, a rich
They're one and the
guy.
same.
Yeah,
The
they're all one in the
corporations are
same.
your
The
gov-
corporations
corporations
are
are
your
your-
They're
government.
are your
definitely
government.
connected. You're right.
Yeah, it's all
If nothing
connected.
else, because of the super PACs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I also want to add
Don't
something.
think that I don't understand what your points of view are. I do, and I think you just it's simpler for you where you live to be able to compartmentalize the way that you do, whereas in America we have to.
State by state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we are a so-called United States of America. We are 50 countries within a big country. Seriously, that is. What
I
we
agree.
are.
I agree with that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely.
One of the things I just want to add is
it's very complex.
You mentioned, Ginger, about the individualism, and that goes hand in hand with libertarianism. But I always feel that libertarianism clashes with Christian ideology, and a lot of Americans like to call themselves Christians. And if they do read their Bible, they know that being a Christian is helping refugees, feeding the poor, feeding the hungry, giving away your wealth, all of these things, which clashes with libertarian ideology and individualism. But it's all about helping your society when it comes to being a Christian. And yet somehow people are Christians and libertarians at the same fucking time, which makes no sense whatsoever.
And hate the poor. And hate the poor. And
I think I'm the exception to your way of thinking of what a libertarian is. I want everybody to have the right to live in peace.
Fuck you,
okay?
Cheeto.
God damn it.
Oh God.
That's all. I don't want to force my religion on you, and I don't want you to force your religion or lack of on me. That's
I mean,
that's the type of
lean more into
individualism I'm for. Okay?
Social hang on, Zam, hang on.
Yeah.
Social libertarianism. That's what the vibe I get from you is more about social libertarianism.
It's close to that. I'm sort of a constitutionalist also. In America, we believe that the Constitution is the law of the land, and everything else should be framed within that. So if, for example, a policeman comes to your house, breaks the door down, does not have a warrant, that's unconstitutional. Okay? It doesn't mean I'm not going to get killed. Doesn't mean that I can say, excuse me, and not get dragged to jail.
To be fair.
However, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah. To be fair, we've seen police officers get shot when they're breaking in without a warrant. And in some cases, they've used the Constitution and lawfully had the case dismissed.
Exactly.
Because you did break into their house.
Self-defense.
Yeah, and in other cases, they've just said, no, life imprisonment. Don't care about the Constitution.
Yeah, because they're probably black.
Yeah.
This is probably true. It depends on the state. Also.
It depends on the state. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah. But
I think
again, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as
each other a little, it's one of those things where we have slightly different cultures. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't want certain things forced on me, and I know you don't want things forced on you. So in that respect, I think
like
you're all libertarians to a point.
I don't want
social libertarians. Absolutely.
But when people are enacting their freedoms, but they happen to be a 180 to another person, but they're not causing that person any harm. I mean, they might be trans, or there might be a trans person, for instance, and they're just living out their lives, doing what they want to do. Leave them alone. But then when they're selling Bud Light, all of a sudden,
See, I'd never understood that whole flap. I don't get it. It's the same with Target. I go to Target. What's the problem? If they have
But
something that I don't want, I don't buy
no,
it.
but what I'm saying is that these
If
people,
somebody's there that I don't like, I don't. It's not like I'm
That's
going to
it.
go out
That's
of
the
my way
best
to
way to
hurt
be.
somebody.
because
Why would I
nobody
do
goes on
that?
about
That's not
on
moral.
about freedom, goes on about freedom all the bloody time than those who want other people not to have it, and that's what pisses me.
Right. Those are called extremists, though, Sam. That's what I'm
Yeah, because
talking about.
because they
Yeah.
go on because like if Dylan Mulvaney is selling Bud Light, then right wingers shouldn't have a fucking issue with it because
Who cares?
that's freedom. That's freedom. You know what I mean? And all of these
Exactly.
things. If Catcher in the Rye is on the children's bookshelf, that's fucking freedom. You know what I mean? That's what it means to be free. And all of these sort of things, and more laws are coming into place. Somebody wants to have an abortion, that's fucking freedom. You know what I mean? But all of a sudden, these rules and regulations are coming into place. I mean, your country only had the Civil Rights Act, like 67 years ago. That's in a lot of people's lifetimes. So they remember a
Yeah.
time when there was still fucking black and white water fountains and shit like that.
I
And
do.
black and white
the good
people.
old days.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Don't
but
go there.
this is why I find calling America the land of the free to be a total contradiction, because I just feel it's just a line in your national anthem, and it's not necessarily real because you have for-profit prisons, which means that corporations can imprison you
Yeah,
and
those
make
are wrong.
money out of
You're right. You're
which,
right.
and all of these sort of things.
Hey, what was
and
the
so
Those
Sam.
I don't think those are constitutional either. Okay, I don't understand why. I'm not a
yeah,
lawyer,
but
so
it
I
doesn't mean
can't
anything.
argue against it legally. But it doesn't make any sense. It's
Yeah.
contrary to an American way of life, unless you just consider like you do. You think of an American way of life as being capitalism. That's not the only thing in American style of life.
No, look, like if we talk about the Dylan Mulvaney thing, no one's forcing Dylan Mulvaney or
No,
anything,
it's
as
talking
you
about
said.
his dick. Because I mentioned it
Oh,
earlier. God damn
Oh,
it.
then then
Please
Tito,
just let me control
please.
the comments,
being
Sam. I'm
funny.
sorry. Please let me control
Okay,
the comments.
okay,
'cause-
fine.
He's
Sorry.
just being funny.
Fine.
When it's your show, you control the comments. When it's my show, let
Okay,
me please
fine.
control the comments. Okay.
No problem.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
Then he can
Harris.
force it on me.
Look. Yeah. Yeah. Harris. Yeah. Exactly. You get it. But the thing is, you get it. You understand it. And a lot of people don't. And it's the same over here in this country. Like I'm not here to fucking bang on and on about like USA, because it's the same stupid shit over in this fucking country. I mean, this country.
Yeah, we think we think we're the fucking bee's knees here. We think we're so fucking privileged here that we can vote for the fucking leaving of the EU and still have all the privileges of the EU, which wasn't the fucking case. You know what I mean? Because
Didn't quite work out.
well, that's because we have dickheads in this country too, are no different to the dickheads in your country. You know what I mean? They're birds of a feather.
Yeah, I mean,
and
but here's what cracks me up. So I'll give you a prime example, Harris. You know, when people talk about we must be a nation that's free and we have our sovereignty and none of these foreigners coming in here and taking over, that kind of rhetoric, right?
Okay.
But when Russia went to war with Ukraine, what was found out? It was found out by the general public how in the pockets of Russian oligarchs our government was. Like the Russian oligarchs practically fucking ran this country. Okay.
Yep. Them and the Chinese.
Yeah.
Them and the Chinese.
Them, the Chinese, the fucking Americans.
The Saudis,
all
the Qataris. Yeah.
This country who wanted Brexit for sovereignty, to have control of its borders, to be in control of its own laws and all of that, was selling every part of this country to the highest bidder. The Russian oligarchs, the American corporations, the Saudis, the Qataris, the Chinese, you fucking name it. In the UK, our public transport and our electricity is mainly owned by the French and the Germans. All right. Our corporations are mostly now owned by Americans. Our properties are mostly owned by fucking Chinese, Arabs, and Russians.
Yeah.
And this fucking insane, like, this is what I keep trying to explain to right wingers. They're like, well, we take back control of that. Mate, I said, listen, you don't understand. No, we don't own anything in this country. Our country has been sold to foreigners. if you tell people now, like once upon a time, this country ruled a quarter of the globe during the height of its empire, they'd look at the current situation and be like, "You're fucking joking, right?" That's how far down we have gone. Like, we're not like, as much as Britain likes to think of it, just because it has a powerful military and spy network, they think that on the global stage they're a big player. They're nothing. They're not even a shit on the shoe of France now. That's how far down we have fallen. And it just cracks me up that people in this country still believe that we're some kind of exceptionalism or go back to the days of empire. How are you going to fucking go back to the days of empire? You can't even control people coming over the borders. We have more people that have more refugees that have entered this country under the supposed anti-immigration government
Mhm.
than we have in any time of our history. So and people still think they buy into the fact that, oh yeah, look, you know, at least the conservatories are fucking conservatories,
Conservatives.
conservatives. Thank you. Are so fucking hardcore on immigration under Labour. It'll just be a fucking open door. It'll be like every conservative government has always had higher levels of immigration than the fucking Labour government, at least up until
Yeah, they've been
Blair's
in charge for
government, in
12
which
years
case it
and
doesn't care.
they're complaining about it, like immigration. What's happening under your watch, you fucks?
13 fucking years they've been in charge and they've done fuck all about it because they don't care. They don't care. They want more foreigners in here because then they can weaponize it every time. But you see, the right-wing mentality, the brain capacity is so singular that it has no concept of bigger picture. It can only focus on a singular moment that is happening there and then. They never turn around and go, well, hang on a second. Foreigners are a problem here, okay? And yet you've been in charge for 13 years and the numbers have swelled up under you. So, hey, you're the problem. Hey, I'll vote you out. I'll vote in another government that will actually do better on immigration. Problem fucking solved. But they don't think like that. They just think, yeah, these fucking foreigners coming over here doing all this and all that.
Yeah, well, I'll vote for the Tories who are letting all these foreigners coming over
Yeah, I'll
here.
vote for the fucking Tories. It's just like, it's just never-ending circle of idiots in this country. And I'll be clear, it's the people in the countryside, not the people in the cities. Like the people in the cities, you know, all the cities in the UK voted Remain, but it's just the countryside that kind of won the vote.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I think it's similar in the US.
Yeah, a lot of the rural kind of areas that have more sway, because cities, obviously, you know, they mix with each other. They know what it's actually like and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, someone that lives in the city doesn't understand the kind of poverty and hardship that people out in the rural areas are going through. But again,
Right.
that's because of the people that they voted in that constantly screw them over and make their life much more expensive to live in. But they vote for those fucking people over and over again because they don't understand what the alternative is. Now, to be fair, the current political climate in the UK is even worse than the US in the sense that if you vote in the Labour government, which is supposed to be a government for the workers and the left and all this
Right.
kind of shit,
Not anymore.
under this leader Keir Starmer, they are exactly the same in every way, shape, and form as the current government. So the next election, when the Labour government comes in, we're not going to see a change at all in anything. They are not. They have dropped all their pledges. They're not going to reverse a single policy that this government has put in place. They're keeping the policing bill, which crackdowns on protests. They're keeping voter ID laws, which they just brought in. They're keeping the anti-immigration bills that they've brought in. They're keeping every shitty fucking law, and they're probably not going to rejoin the EU either. And people are just like, well, why am I going to vote for you not? You know, and so we've seen a surge in left-wing parties like the Greens and Tusk and all of that, but it's not going to be enough to kind of think. But that's just I just want to give people an understanding watching the stream, the kind of level of shit that this country's in, because it's easy to bang on about America and all this kind of stuff, but uh, we're fucked over here. The charity I work for, the number one issue we deal with is housing. My borough, I'm right at the north of London, um, has the worst housing crisis in London, and the second worst housing crisis. Actually, it's now the worst housing crisis in the UK because they gentrified the rest of London. They pushed everyone up into my borough, and we haven't built enough houses here. We're sticking people in hotels. They're
Right.
staying in these hotels for months on end. And now it's gotten so bad that we are now just saying, you know what, look, we're going to rehouse you, but we're going to rehouse you anywhere outside of London. Tough shit. You can't get a fucking house in London anymore. You can't get a house within this borough. We have to send you out because it's just a mess. Like, this whole country is a mess. This is what happens. You privatize everything, and now these are the repercussions, sadly. You know, we used to do social housing. We don't do that anymore. We stopped doing that. Even under the Labour government, under Tony Blair, we barely did 4% of the new houses being built with social housing, and this is why we're in the crisis we're in now. Rents through the roof, but it's the same in America, you know.
Yep.
But in
big time.
America, the big problem as well is you've got like private corporations like BlackRock that are buying up a lot of the properties as well. So that's causing a huge issue because you're having corporations controlling housing, meaning you'll never be allowed to own anything. It's just
Artificial inflation.
yeah, exactly, mate. I even own a place of the UK. Does Ginger's arseholes count? Oh, mate, you can always put yourself in there.
There's a guy called the TLD. Read his comment.
TLD. We are
Oh,
trained
wait.
and taught to vote blindly for one political party. You ain't black if you don't vote Democrat. Joe Biden.
That's true. In the
I mean-
US, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, he sent it right anyway. So, but he said something like the problem is. He said further up. He said the problem is we have the freedom, but people choose to abuse it and not use it for what's best. I don't know really how to.
I
respond
don't
to
get what you
that.
mean by that, because when the whole system is rigged against you, you
It's
have very
freedom,
little
yeah.
choice. You know, if you look at, so if we go back to America now, like how their system is set up there to block third party candidates from
Right.
running. You know, we have Cornel West is running now for the Green Party. He originally started with the Movement for the People's Party, but that party is a complete shit show. And Cornel has switched to the Greens. And it's going to be interesting to see how well he does and how well he's covered in the media. Because I bet now the guy that everyone loved having on as the sane voice is now going to be blocked by legacy media from appearing on their shows. You know, and this guy was been on Bill Maher show countless times and all that. And I bet you we don't fucking see him at all. The third party candidate. You vote third party here and they call it a throwaway vote. I
Yeah.
say those who don't vote threw it away. Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
I agree.
Yeah. You don't vote, you throw it away. And secondly, if you're voting for one brand of dog shit to another brand of dog shit, then voting for a third party is, and don't you like, they'll guilt trip you. And it's like, well, hang on a second. Well, what has Biden done to kind of win my vote? What have the Republicans done to win my vote? For those on the right that would vote, say, Libertarian or would vote a different party and all that. It's the same thing. Like, you know, and you're absolutely right. What have you fucking done to win my vote? You know, a lot of people on the right, for example, because libertarians are very anti-war. All right, that's one area, hey, we can all agree on. And so with a lot of Republicans, they're like, stop this fucking military spending. And I don't want to be going to wars. So those are the people that would vote for libertarians on the right. And obviously on the left, would be like, well, you couldn't even get student debt relief passed. And you are fucking us over even worse now than you could before. The only good thing that's happened under Biden is that he hasn't cracked down on unions as badly as people thought he would have, because, you know, he has a history of that. So that's the
He
only good
handled
thing.
COVID a lot better, I guess. than Trump
Yeah,
did
he
as
handled
well.
COVID a lot better. He cut some checks for people and all of that. But it's not enough. You know, people are
Way not
literally
enough. Like
just-
what, a couple of grand?
Huh?
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, at least with this guy, at least with the Tories over here, they actually did give people money during the pandemic, which was a fucking miracle. But I think that would have just killed them politically if they hadn't, you know.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so don't chastise. And to be fair, people do it over here. So, for example, when we're saying, well, I'm not voting for Labour at the next election, and what they're saying, they'd be like, oh, well, you're just enabling the Tories. I'm like, no, no, no. Keir Starmer is enabling the Tories because of his policies. I'm not going to throw away my vote and vote for a fascist. I'm just going to vote for a left wing alternative. We have plenty of choice in this country, and yeah, my conscience is clear. You know, it's as simple
Was it
as that.
$750? Was it that all? I never knew it was that little. I thought it was more than that.
Some places got more and some places got less, I think.
Okay. Yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
in the U.S., a lot of the third-party candidates that run for Senate or representatives or mayors or whatever, they actually join one party or the other that's mainstream and get elected that way, and then they let everybody know I'm an independent or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name right this minute. My old brain is not working, but that's happened with a lot of candidates, like Jesse Ventura, for example. It's just an example. I'm not saying he was the greatest person to be in office, but he was
I
an
love
independent
Ventura.
guy. Okay,
I
he
love
was
Ventura.
Bit
elected
nuts,
as
but I
an
like him as
independent
well.
candidate, and he
Yeah.
stayed in office as an independent candidate. He never joined a party.
Yeah.
Okay, and I respect that. But how would he ever have been voted or elected as a president? He wouldn't, because our electoral college is only set up for two parties.
That's it. And that is a ridiculously outdated system that does it's not in any other country. It's
Right.
uniquely American.
It needs revising. It doesn't
Electoral
need to be
college is so
done away
stupid.
with, but it needs to be revised to allow more than two parties. We
It's
had
just
more than
really
two
dumb in the
parties at
No,
first
one
place,
point.
though.
it doesn't. You don't need it. You don't need it.
You don't
In
need
the
it because,
electoral
like,
college. You don't need it. Your vote is your
it-
vote. It doesn't then revert to the states having a right to then fucking tweak all of that. It's so undemocratic.
Yeah, I'm not a
having
fan of
the
Hillary
electoral
Clinton,
college.
but she should have been president of the United States and not Donald Trump. But the Electoral College fucking changed all that, and they gave somebody who got less votes than she did and put him into power. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Right.
You know,
I'm not going to be
there's no
able to explain
democracy.
that to you.
There's no democracy there. It makes no
Yeah.
sense. I've always thought it was fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, it's bittersweet because fuck Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, fuck
See,
Hillary
the
Clinton.
thing
Don't get
is,
me wrong.
at a local and a state level, we are democratic, but at the national level, we are a constitutional republic. So that's where the Electoral College comes in and changes all the results that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it
So,
shouldn't
So
exist.
on the local level, it is Democrat. It is democracy.
No, but some of these
It's one
formalities,
vote, one person.
they need to change. Like, you know, once Joe Biden won the vote and he became president elect, you know, there's all these other formalities that had to happen prior to the exchanging of power. But
Right.
it seemed that at any moment now that Trump was going to pull a fucking coup or another coup to stop these things from happening, and more focus were put on these things than ever because of who Donald Trump was, right down to the last moment where the tradition of the vice president announcing the new president was to
Yes,
occur,
Barnes, you're right.
and Pence was supposed to announce Donald Trump, and he didn't, but he was actually a stickler for tradition. But if somebody like, for instance, Marjorie Taylor Greene becomes vice president of the United States, and the Republican then loses the next election, she'll probably just read out the nomination and say it's still the current president and not the new one, you know, because that's who she is, and that scares the fuck out of me. And people like her being in power in the first place scares the fuck out of me. I mean, she's so fucking stupid. Her and Boebert, you know what I mean? The two dumbest fucking fucks ever. And
They're thoroughly
people like Matt
entertaining though. they're causing a rift within the Republican Party, so it's a lot of fun to kind of watch.
Matt Gates Matt Gates is a
Circus.
fucking pedophile, and that guy's getting they're always focusing on like gays and trans people being pedophiles. That guy himself is a fucking nonce, and he is he's still in power. It's ridiculous. It's oh god, I mean it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
Just fed
yeah.
up of it.
Ralph Nader is one of the reasons why they tightened up the fucking laws, especially on the Democratic side, against third-party candidates, because he was too
You
successful.
could be right. You could be
Yeah.
right.
After
Thinking
him,
back,
they tightened the fucking laws. They made it less democratic, which is, and I always say, if you want to see how anti-democratic a country is, you have to look at how the supposed left-wing parties, which they're not, they're always like overtaken by other neoliberals. Okay, you have to see how they function to see how democracy is a facade in the world. There's no such thing as democracy anywhere in the fucking world. It's a fucking lie. All right, because it's all dictated to by the same fucking institutions and banks to say, hey, fucking behave yourself. And this is why the West is now doing the whole anti-China thing, because they're scared of losing if the dollar loses its value, if the dollar loses its power in trade, then you'll have a much more democratized world. Because there was an African prime minister who brought it up the other day, and he goes, in order for me to trade with my neighbor, I have to exchange my money to dollars to trade, rather than use my own money to trade with my neighbor. And by doing so, it costs me more money. Do you understand what a stupid system that is? So what a lot of these countries are saying, they're like, no, fuck this. We're going to sign a deal with China that just says, look, under the BRICS agreement, which is BRICS, we get to trade in our own currency with our neighbors. We're not going to fucking use the dollar because it's crippling us financially, and it just doesn't make any sense. Of course, that is a threat to the United States, and it's also a threat to the banks. And so this is why now you're going to start seeing, I always say, keep an eye out for Brazil, South Africa, and India, and how they're going to be massively vilified in the US press, because China's already there. China's been a
Right.
threat for years, and so they're vilifying China, and they did it to Russia, and Americans struck gold because Russia snapped and invaded Ukraine, and they're like, oh,
political
this couldn't
goal
have gone
anyway,
any
yes.
better.
Yes.
Yeah, this couldn't have gone any better, because we could draw this war out, and we could do it as long as we can to bankrupt Russia, because they're not going to, the Americans and the British have blocked any kind of peace talks from happening. They've tried multiple times, and America's like, nope, no peace talks allowed. And then when China stepped in, the Americans shit themselves. They're just like, they said to Zelensky, if you do peace talks with China, you're going to be out. And so they don't want peace talks. And so they've roped them in. Taiwan and China, they're provoking the Chinese to do something there.
Right.
India, there's now slight rumblings about India and Modi. He shouldn't be like siding with
God, I fucking hate that
China.
guy.
Yeah, me too. But as long as he's pissing off the Americans, he gets a thumbs up from me. So you see how the global politics it works firsthand, and like nobody's trying to hide it anymore. Like nobody hides a facade, and everyone knows what America's game is. And yeah, I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole in the first
So are
place.
you
but-
for a universal type of money, a world currency, electronic currencies, for example?
No, I don't think there should be a singular currency in the world. I think every country should be able to trade in its own currency.
See,
Because
I agree, 100%.
The euro was a complete disaster for
Right.
Greece and
Yep.
Italy and Spain and Portugal. It only benefited France and Germany.
Yep.
Okay, Norway saw this. That's why Norway said, "No, fuck you. We're going to keep our currency.
Right.
We're not trading in euros." They kept the krona. and I think Denmark has kept their krona as well. And yeah, Greece should have had no choice; they were bullied into it, but it was a disaster. So, prime example. So, I went in the year 2000 for my cousin's wedding. It was 2001. That was 2001. I went for my cousin's wedding. We still had the drachma. It was the final year of the drachma. Let's just say a bag of peaches was 100 drachmas. 100 drachmas is around about 30 cents. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's not really. It was a bit more, but I'm just giving you a prime example. So a bag of peaches, 30 cents. The year the euro came in, literally within the year the euro came in, and I went back, that bag of peaches went from 30 cents to $2.
Wow.
Your wages haven't gone up. You've gone from earning 600 euros, euros a month, but put that in drachmas, to still earning 600 euros a month. But your food and your cost of living is tripled under the euro. And that was a disaster because Greece's economy was fucked anyway, and the euro just toppled it over. And because I'm not a fan of the EU, I hate the EU. It benefits the UK being in the EU because we're a big country with a big economy. But I hate it because of what it did to Greece. It completely destroyed Greece. If you look at Greece now to what it was, it's a complete shell of its former self. We sold everything off to the fucking Americans, the Russians, the German banks own half the bloody country and all this kind of shit. So I believe that every country should be allowed to trade in its own currency, to regulate its own prices, not be forced into it by the global banking system.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
A couple of comments. The last two would be.
Yeah, I've got this one here. So the US has been posturing and bullying the world with the dollars, but now the world have gotten tired. Absolutely, mate. What do you think of Stop Oil and Lords?
Before you get to that, the TLD. There was when I was in school, there was a teacher called Mrs. Lambert, and she had big fucking tits. Yeah, and we used to call her TLD, and TLD for us meant taller lying down. Because the tits were so fucking big. Yeah, for the record.
That's what we're going to call
You're
you
naughty.
from now on. From now on, you're called taller lying down.
I think it has to have cards with a scary political show. Did not experience Trump. Well, you experienced Kevin Spacey, so it was reasonably scary. So
yeah, but
so what do you think of Stop the Oil?
Hang on, I'll go back to. I want to go back onto this. So the US has been post whatever that word.
Posturing
And bullying the word for the dollar and all this kind of shit. Well, if you look back at what happened in the 2000s, Libya led the way to start the I think it was the AFRICON or something like that. So that's a convention. But it was to create an African currency and trade oil in the euros. And then that's what led to like the war in Syria, the destabilization of Libya and Gaddafi, the war in Iraq, and all of this. Because years ago, in the early 2000s or the late 90s, there was that American conference where they said there are 7 countries that the United States is going to go after to destabilize. It was openly said. It's on video. And we don't need to go back into the. Yeah, sorry.
Libya was number 1 target.
Yeah, Libya was number 1 target. Syria, Iraq, Iran. I can't remember the other ones. But there was two more. I think Yemen and Sudan or something like that.
Iraq.
Yeah. But the point is that it was because that they were going to Libya wanted to create a strong African currency and a strong independent Africa, and also Iraq, Iran, Syria, all that wanted to trade in oil in euros because they get a better deal for it. Of course, that would have weakened the dollar, and that's why we're in the global mess that we're in now, especially in that region. And the same is going to happen with Brazil, with India, and all this kind of shit. The difference is now these are big boys. They're not pushovers. You know, India has a very strong military. China has a very strong
Right.
military. You can't just fucking roll in there and topple them. Look how quickly they destroyed Pakistan when Khan would not bow to the Americans to say that no, we're still going to deal with the Russians. We don't care that they've gone to war. That's your mess. That's not our mess. Within a couple of weeks, they funded a coup in Pakistan, and Pakistan rolled over, and all of that, and they got their way in the end. So they got their Pakistan now has a U.S. puppet in power. They're very far right as well, and they will try it. They'll try it with other countries, but with India, with China, and with Brazil, it's not that fucking easy
No.
because you know they
Well,
had
Lula now, yeah, in
they had
power,
Lula. They had Bolsonaro before that, and he lasted just one term, and he got ousted because he was deeply unpopular. He was just a horrible human being.
Jesus Christ, horrible is an understatement. when it comes
Fucking
to
disgusting,
Bolsonaro.
despicable human being. Made things worse for everyone in Brazil. And so it's going to be, the next decade is going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the world is tired of it. The world knows what the US is like. They're just sick and tired of this fucking shit. It's like having your neighbor coming into your house and interfering with everything you're doing. It's just like, bro, get the fuck out. Go interfere in your own bloody house. It's like, no, I want to siphon your electricity. I want your fucking water. I want your. Oh, it's just, yeah. If America didn't exist, the world would be at peace. That's the statistics that you see. Because
I
of
don't
course,
necessarily agree, but I
No, it's
understand your
true.
point of view.
it's true because the huge amount of arms being sold around the world came from Americans, and then the other countries that were sanctioned by the Americans were then buying from the Russians. But see how it all intertwines. But if the world, would be at fucking a much better place now. I'm not talking pre-World War. I'm talking now, because everything since has been the fault of the Americans
What
and the
do you
commies.
think of-
And the
what do you
commies.
think of
Let's
Yeah,
not.
well,
let's-
the,
yeah,
I'll,
and
I'll
the
give the
commies as
commies
well.
a lot of the. Yeah,
Yeah,
What do you think of
I'll,
stop
I'll, I'll
androids?
side with you on the commies there, but
yeah,
U.S. I think it's more complex than that. I understand your point of view, and I see what you're saying, and from your perspective, I can see why you would think that.
yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with all of that because it's more nuanced. You know, it's more complex than just the country or the politicians or
Not
the
really. No,
companies.
if you look at the hand that America's had in every single country and every single coup that has taken place has been at the hands of the Americans. They've destabilized the world.
South American governments,
Okay, yeah, not just South America, the Middle East, Greece, fucking Cyprus,
yeah.
you name it,
Yeah.
mate. Like I know firsthand what my people went through under because of the Americans and the British. Because let's not forget that the world would also be a better place if the British didn't bloody exist. I
Agreed.
don't want. I don't want to sit there and paint us with any kind of like nice brush and all of that. But
Yeah.
my parents, and not my parents, my grandparents, they know what they went through. My granddad got shot in the leg, okay, during the Greek Civil War. The Greek Civil War was the result of the British not wanting communism to rise in Greece. And Greek communism was not the fucking same as like Stalinism.
Soviet,
because
yeah.
a lot of the Greek communists couldn't fucking stand Stalin. They hated him with a passion. So they never would have joined under his regime. We're just saying that under a country that's crippled by poverty, because after the Ottomans fell, we then had to deal with the British, and then we had to deal with the Germans, and again we had to deal with the British, and then after them we had to deal with the Americans, because of the junta in Greece in the 60s was an American puppet that was put there, and those actions led to the Turkish invasion of Cyprus and all of that. But the British played a huge
In
part in that
75.
as
Yeah,
well.
I remember that.
In 74, yeah. And because of that, my family lost their houses, and they've ended up over here in the UK. And so this is like, so if you look at all that kind of stuff and you say, okay, well, let's take America away from that. Let's take Britain away from that. And then you look at, okay, well, if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have had the empires, we wouldn't have had all these fucking European wars and all this kind of shit. Not I'm not saying just America. I'm just saying like Britain as well and all this kind of stuff. And the world would have been in a much better place. Like India wouldn't have been ransacked of all its fucking wealth as well
by the Brits.
And yeah, it's just one
But
thing
what would
after
be in
the
their
other.
place? What would replace the U.S. or let's
It's not about being.
nothing.
It's not about
Independent.
the
Countries
country would have
countries
prospered
functioning
without being
independently.
ransacked.
Yeah, countries functioning independently. They were all on a
You mean
natural
U.S.
course.
interference?
What?
Well, the
You
US would
mean
still exist. It wouldn't be invaded by European settlers. It would still be the country it is now, but the Native Americans would be the
Native
Dominant-
Americans?
it would be the dominant race of that country, and people like yourself would probably be brought up in Europe.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Alternative history. Okay.
Alternative histories. I was like, if the United States doesn't
I was just
exist,
trying to make it clear to your viewers you're not advocating the overthrow of any particular government.
no,
You're just
no,
talking
no,
about
no, no.
alternatives.
I'm just giving
Exactly.
you an alternative history. Yeah,
See,
look.
things can be taken out of context. I want to make it clear.
I
I
could
didn't
also-
think you were going there.
No. Greece would be better off if the Ottomans never existed. I'm giving
I
you
agree.
so there's that
Yes.
context as well. So empires if empires didn't exist, the world would be. But that's why I put the British in there, because the British, the consequences of the British rising and also the French as well led to the great wars of Europe, because countries were competing
Spanish
for
as
empires
well.
and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They colonized
Spanish
too.
The Spanish
They
became
colonized too. Yeah,
they colonized as well,
it.
but they became
Yeah.
like irrelevant.
Well,
really
the fucking
quickly,
Filipinos are called Hernandez and fucking Garcia and shit.
But even if
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
mean,
exist, yeah,
Yeah.
all the same shit. Yeah, we
I
just
just
wrote
wanna-
TLD
I
out of history.
I want to get to Bossman's comment regarding the oil protesting robots. What the fuck was all that about?
What?
Scroll up. You are dealing with the thingy. This is why I want to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, but you're talking about the stop oil thing.
What was
And
that
Lords.
about?
Lords of
Stop
the
oil
cricket
and-
ground, you dickhead.
Oh, and Lords. I thought you said androids. Oh, okay, my bad.
And Lords.
And Daniel Vance mentioned about the Wagner Group. I mean, I've got very little to say because this fucker, he looked like he was about to start a coup and overthrow one of the biggest
I was
dictators in
so
recent history.
disappointed. Yeah.
And nothing came from that. He chickened out last minute. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something weird's going on behind the scenes there. I really think that this was designed for
You're damn
Putin
right,
to
Cheeto.
have a way to dismiss the Wagner Group in the future whenever he sends them on something nefarious and they get caught.
Well, I think he also realizes that he won't be able to control them the way he thinks he will.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, his position is not, it's not as strong as it once was. I mean, he could
Right.
be ousted out of power. It's been proven now. I mean, exactly. So
I mean, it could be, the Pozny guy, whatever his name is, could just be an actor in all this, in the sense
That's what I'm
that,
saying.
Putin was like, hey, I need an out kind of thing. And they're just
Mhm.
like, well, I'll pretend to do a coup and then we'll back out. And then they'll just be like, hey,
Mhm.
there you go. You can have a tighter grip on the Wagner Group now because they've come under the control of his other generals. And so they don't get to because maybe there was rumblings amongst the soldiers. So he kind of led them to the coup to then kind of help them get dismantled. There could be that factor.
Right.
Or it could just be that this military general was pissed off. And it's just like, look, the war is not about a coup. It's about fucking, hey, this just ain't going well. We're underfunded. We're under stocked and all this kind of shit. But who knows? All I know is I was disappointed because I would have loved to have seen Putin get ousted out of a fucking balcony window.
I fucking hate that guy so much.
It would have
man.
been lovely. Yeah, fuck that guy.
The TLD,
Um,
we just wrote you out of history. Damn right, mate. I mean, even
Yeah,
me,
mate.
I not. I mean, depends really. Would I be part of this country? Because, as I like to remind British, I would like to remind British people who complain about too many fucking darkies being in Britain that you motherfuckers
Whoa.
colonized. We do get a lot of those.
Yeah, we do.
Unfortunately. But I like to remind them that you were colonizing countries that I'm ethnically from. So I'm just coming back to the fucking motherland, mate. You know what I mean?
Works for me.
It was
Yeah.
just, exactly. You know what I
You
mean?
brought us
So,
here. We didn't fucking want to
Yeah.
come. You stole our country.
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
So we're here.
Yeah, don't fucking blame us, mate. You still bombing our
Yeah.
bloody country. That's why we're all coming over here and fucking
Yeah.
bombing.
Yeah, exactly. And opening up
know.
kebab shops and fucking
Yeah,
and
fucking
corner shops.
complaining. This is,
Yeah,
again,
you
but
know.
this is the other thing I keep saying to these kind of people is it's like, hey, you know what? If you stop voting for a right wing government that wants to blow up other countries or sell arms to other countries, yeah, you know what? You won't end up with, because who wants to uproot their whole life, fucking trek through Africa on a boat to the Mediterranean, get to France, get on another fucking boat to come over here? Who would do that? We wouldn't do that. You think they're doing it because they want to milk our system? They're doing it because they've got no fucking choice,
Right.
you know. But they think that, oh, they're coming over here, they get everything for free. They don't get nothing for free. Not a fucking thing. They get a hotel room and that's it. You know, it's fucking idiots. Gary, on your thing about Just Stop Oil, they piss me off. They fucking I get annoyed with that group. I like it when they go after corporations and they disrupt them, but not when they disrupt ordinary people from going about their lives, like blocking roads
Yeah.
and all this kind of shit. Like, it just makes me want to
They
go up and
glued
punch them in the
themselves,
face
mate.
because they
on
are
those
a bunch of
roads.
smug fucking liberals who are rich and have no fucking concept of the daily struggle. And yet they're sitting there going, rah, rah, rah. They're funded by a fucking rich person, which is fine. I mean, that rich person is choosing to use their money for goods, but their tactics are awful. Whereas if you look at the Palestinian group, which is a pro-Palestinian protest group against what's happening in Israel, they attacked the factories where the armaments were being made here in the UK. They stormed the factories, they shut them down, they vandalized the property, and they're forcing them to move abroad now. I thought that is how you do a protest. You storm corporations that are causing the problem. You disrupt the lives of politicians that are making your lives hell. You camp outside their house. You make them regret every policy that they put in place that made
And then they'll bring out a
our
law
lives
making sure
hell,
that you
and
can't
you'll
do that
start
shit.
seeing changing. Yeah, they'll put brick walls up and fucking. But then when they do that, you start targeting the authority figures, the police and the private security that are protecting these people. You find out who they are and you start harassing them, and you'll see how things will quickly fucking change. But
NerdTube is so woke, by the way, and I like to. That's what, because I'll tell you what, we are so woke that we're fucking insomniacs. I'm
exactly.
scared.
I'm gonna have to leave. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No
Harris,
problem.
It's
dude,
okay.
absolute pleasure having you on here, man.
You
You
too.
were
It was
awesome.
very nice meeting you, Ginger.
Yeah,
It
man.
was really good having you, talking to you, Steve, on other things outside the Star Trek. It was great.
Thank
Lovely,
you.
man.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to having you on again whenever you want,
I
and whatever you
appreciate
want
it.
to talk about. Yeah.
Well,
all
you know,
good,
I'm a
mate.
voice of reason. I'm not right wing or left wing.
No, you're wonderful, dude. I get your politics. I understand what you mean, mate.
And
It's
I
all good,
appreciate
man.
you too. Thank you.
Yeah, you take care, mate. All the
Take
best.
care.
You too.
Thank you, Steve. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Kick me out.
Oh,
I'll kick him out. Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Oh yeah, kick. Bye. Take that, asshole.
Yeah.
I'm scared of who might replace Putin in such a coup. It depends. If it's his right-hand man, then they're just as fucked. But
Yeah, hopefully, we hope democracy will come into play and somebody will get voted into office. But
yeah, you
it's
hope
Russia,
once
so
he goes, that people will just riot and be like, right, enough of this shit. We need democracy now. But Russia, you know, Russia has the fucking oligarchs as well. Like, the best thing we ever did was sanction those oligarchs, because that opens a gateway to democracy in Russia. Because the oligarchs were no different to the American corporations. You know, they're just controlling everything in Russia. Like,
Yep.
yeah. You're just getting shit on all the time. Smart move. They
Fucking
cannot bomb
shit.
us if we live next to the Queen or King's estate. Yeah.
Mate, those are targets, dude.
Yeah, they're targets, mate.
Yeah.
NerdTube is so woke, we are insomniacs. That is a t-shirt with a pole dancing unicorn in a Speedo on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
you get onto that, dude.
Yeah, you get onto that. Or you could be like, I'm so woke, I'm an insomniac, and just have like fucking a pair of eyes with bags under them.
Or maybe us doing some fucking lines or something.
Oh my god.
Are we done here?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're
Been on
done.
for 3 hours. It was a good show considering we kind of winged it.
It was
Yeah, I
very
mean-
good show. Yeah, but it was nice, like hearing like you know, like having Harris on as well and hearing his perspective of things, and Jose chiming in as well. It was lovely.
We'll be back
yeah.
tomorrow, by the way.
We are back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. There is money in the skank tomorrow,
Mhm.
and it's in the UK, meaning it's going to be on at a sensible hour for us. I think it
About
starts at
fucking
8
time.
p.m. UK.
It's a bit later than it should be, as far as I'm concerned, but fair enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, it should be on a bit earlier, but you know, I think it's only a 3-hour show, so we should be all right.
That's
I
why
think-
I like Crown Jewel, but it's on at 5 for us, which is perfect.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that's a
was
great
lovely.
time.
Yeah, that was lovely. That's a perfect kind of
that's a
time for
perfect
us.
time.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but we'll be on at 8 tomorrow to go through Money in the Bank, and also while we're talking about, because you know, if we're not interested in what we're talking about, might talk about Secret Invasion a bit there, because I really can't be asked to do a separate video on it. For now,
Yeah.
just do more of a series recap once it's over. It's only 6 episodes, I think.
I haven't been too impressed with the show personally. If we'll briefly talk about it, it's all right. I mean, I was expecting something a bit more gripping, and
I'm
it's a bit too
enjoying
loose.
the kind of the spy thriller of it, but
What spy thriller? I don't know what the fuck you're on about. There's no spy thriller, dude. You know what I mean?
there's no
There's
subtlety to it to be a spy
Yeah.
thriller. But yeah, it's okay. It's not. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not blown away. Well, that's it. We've talked about Secret Invasion. That's perfect. That's all there really is to talk
Yeah.
about. So we'll just do a series recap once it's over, because it's not really worth doing individual
Fingers crossed
videos.
it gets better.
Yeah, exactly. And on that bombshell, we'd like to thank everyone in the comments for chiming in. It's always appreciated, even if we have differing opinions. It's all welcome here. Thanks to all my co-hosts and to the last man standing, ironically, this week at Zam. And on that, we will see you all tomorrow for the wrestling. Goodbye.